welcome to the 398th episode of the Random Podcast from Heck. My name is Tony, and this is the podcast about random things in the world of entertainment, which includes movies, TV shows, and comic books. And this week's also vinyl records. Big thanks to Andrew Loken. He is a big supporter of the show. You can be a supporter by going to patreon.com/gmanfromheck. Any amount you can commit to will be awesome. If you commit at the Rick Jones tier or higher, you get access to the Secret Podcast from Heck, which is an additional 30 minutes-ish, sometimes more, of podcast entertainment every single week. I've been doing the John Byrne era of Fantastic Four from the 80s, and while I've come back numerous times, I've taken a break, come back. I'm enjoying it. I'm digging it, but I sometimes wonder if it's too much. So I may take a break again, but I'm not sure. And I also debated on maybe should I talk about an older classic movie and just thoughts on it, or recap it. And I've done that in the past. I might do that, but we'll see. But if you can't commit to a monthly commitment, you can also help out by going to coffee.com/gman from Heck, and you can buy me a virtual cup of coffee or 3. That's ko-fi.com/gman from Heck. All right, so we are approaching the 400th episode, and I got nothing planned for that. But one thing I have been thinking about, as I've mentioned this before, and I always wonder, what do you as a listener want out of this show? And when I look, because I'm a math guy, I'm a numbers guy. I do look at the numbers, and I look for trends or whatever, and I sometimes notice spikes and drops. It's not always consistent, and sometimes it's weird. Sometimes where some of the more obscure, the less big tentpole movies, sometimes those tend to do better. And I don't know if it's because people have seen the movies or they don't want to be spoiled by the movies. But then that inconsistency, which is fine, but that kind of makes me wonder. So if it's not consistent, that means certain people are not listening consistently, obviously, every single week. So then it makes me wonder, should I be doing so much TV coverage? Because, I enjoy doing it. It does take a big portion of time, and it takes up a chunk of the podcast. Do people skip over, oh, I don't want to hear about this show, I'm going to skip over it? Or, of course, there's some people well, I haven't watched it yet, I'm going to watch it later, so I don't want to hear this. And then maybe, I don't know how your listening habits are. That would be cool to know that. So I'm kind of wondering, should I pull back on the TV coverage? Are people mainly focusing on the movie coverage? Because that could be what's driving, the listens, the downloads, or streams, or whatever. So I don't know. I've been thinking about that. But what we have for this week, so the movie is going to be Drop. And every time I think about that, I think that's a horrible name for a movie, because it's so generic. And even the whole big thing, I know Twitter's not really a thing anymore, and I don't know if anyone else really uses hashtag. I guess Instagram does, and I'm not really sure if Threads or Blue Sky, if they've really truly implemented it, because I've never searched it or anything. But if you try using drop as a hashtag, that's not necessarily going to get you just to what you're looking for. And now sometimes in these cases, use drop movie, hashtag drop movie. I just find it a weird movie. And this podcast my daughter listens to, I forget the name of it. It's I don't know what it is, but I end up listening to it because she'll be listening in the kitchen or whatever. And they, I don't know when this was, if it was a couple weeks ago, maybe last week or something like that. But when they were talking about the movie, I think they accidentally, they referred to it as airdrop. I even think that would be a better name. It's a weird name, I think, maybe because I'm just used to drop. But I almost think airdrop would be more descriptive, more distinct. But what do I know? I can't even figure out what I'm doing on my podcast. So who am I to tell Hollywood what you should be calling your movies? I just think drop. But the main thing is I enjoyed the movie, so I definitely have stuff to say about that. I thought when I saw the trailer, I was like, this looks interesting. But I was like, how is this, a whole movie of this? Because the other movie that came out was The Amateur, which I hadn't even heard about this. So Rami Malek, It looks like it could be a good movie. You know, this guy, he's in some government thing. You know, he's you know, nerdish, bookish, you know, behind the computer guy, but he's got amazing skills. His wife gets killed, I believe. I only seen the trailer once, and he wants to find the people who killed his daughter. So he's like, you know, train me. You know, he tells someone in the government, train me to hunt or kill. And they're like, dude, you're not a killer. And he even knows that. So it's like, what is he going to cross that line? And is he going to get revenge? And is it going to solve any? So it looks like it could be a good movie. I definitely do want to see it. I just don't think I'm going to see it in the theater because of funds. You know, I limit myself to just, you know, one movie per week in the theater, since I'm spending so much everywhere else. I'm curious to see it. I just don't know. If you see it, let me know how it is. I am curious about that. So we got Drop. With The Bondsman, I'm enjoying the show. I've only watched 2 episodes so far. I only was able to watch the second episode. And as I mentioned before, and as I mentioned several times before, this whole dropping the whole season at once, that is like such a problem for me. Because, like, you know, as I say, if you're a Kevin Bacon fan, and if you have the time and if you're into it, you've probably already watched the whole season. As much as I was on spring break and I still didn't have time to do as much as I wanted to. If you want to hear about my like Monday and Tuesday of spring break, oh man, I can go over that. If we can skip it, if you can fast forward if you want. Well, I'll just say it now. So Monday, I was like, I haven't been a doctor in a while because I'm a dude and I'm irresponsible and everything. So I scheduled just like a checkup with my doctor, and I got like the nicest doctor. He's so caring and everything like that. He's big on a flu shot. I knew he was going to ask. He's always like, you know, you should get a flu shot. And I think there's like something, I don't remember if it was like whooping cough. There's like other stuff going on in the area. And me being a teacher, you know, obviously I'm exposed to all, you know, these germs and stuff from the kids and all that. But I feel like I have a high immune system, knock on wood, because as much as I am, you know, exposed to kids, I don't often get sick, you know, whatever. But never say never, or who knows, right? So I was like, all right, I do it. And then, you know, I was overdue for a COVID shot. I was like, I might as well, you know, it's been, you know, I missed my last time when I would have normally done it. And then there is Tony's Medical Podcast Corner. There is a tetanus shot and diphtheria or something like that. And I don't know if like one of those is required, because I seem to remember like the district secretary, I feel like she mentioned something like that, because, you know, they keep records of, you know, your medical stuff. And there are certain things that are required as a teacher, like you have to have this, you have to have this. And I know like tetanus is something that I don't know how often you have to do it. I just like do it when I'm supposed to. And then there was like shingles. I was like, shingles? Like, do people really get, you know, vaccines for shingles? I was like, I don't even really know what shingles is. I know it's supposed to be super painful. So I was like, all right. So I got 4 shots. Boom, boom, 2 on each arm. My arms are still a little sore. But man, normally I'm okay with so it's got to be the flu shot. It kicked my butt, because sometimes it happens, you know, they're injecting whatever strain into you. And I think it was Monday night. It's like 1 a.m. I started getting the shivers, and I was like, oh, it's so cold. And there was like one point, like middle night, it's like, man, TMI. I was like, I gotta go to the bathroom. It is too cold to get up. I was just like shaking, and oh man, yeah. So and then just being weak, and then when it starts going away, I was just like, oh, my body aches. I'm just tired, and thank goodness I did it this week and not when I had to actually work. So that kind of kicked my butt then. So we got the one episode of Bondsman is what I'm trying to get to. There's not a lot of news this week, so this will kind of make up for that. One episode of Daredevil Born Again, the penultimate episode, and I saw it was I didn't think it was like super violent. I saw there's this guy that I'm like Facebook friends with, and I don't believe he's using his real name, but he works on the show, and you know, every once in a while, you know, he gives little insights, you know, nothing spoiler or anything like that. But I think he had mentioned how this episode was like, it's going to top like the Netflix show. And I'm looking, it's like, I don't think this was uber violent, and I don't think I'm like desensitized to anything. But I also saw a different report, like an actual, an outlet reporting that the final episode is supposed to be pretty intense. So we got one more episode this week. So talking about penultimate episode. And then Black Mirror season 7's out. So there's 6 episodes. I was like, there is no way I'm going to be able to watch 6 episodes because they're all an hour. And then the 6th episode is 90 minutes. And the 6th episode is the sequel to the USS Callister, which was the Kristen Milioti, Jesse Plemons episode. I don't remember if that was season 4 when that one came out, but this is a sequel to it, and it's the final episode of the season. I was like, all right, I can only realistically, I'm only going to be able to watch one episode. Even though I saw it drop earlier, it was like an early release. I saw that on Wednesday. Normally, I go to movies on Thursday. And I was like, I'm just going to watch one episode. So rather than watch the first one, which does sound interesting, I was like, I'm just going to watch episode 6. Because this is one that I think a lot of people are excited about. I love Kristen Milioti. I enjoyed that first episode. It was like the Star Trek episode. If you don't know, I'm not sure what I'm talking about. So we can talk about that episode. So I watched that one, and that's going to be it for the week. Now, I'll say right now, and I'll mention again at the end, The Last of Us season 2. As you listen to this, it is I take that back, since I post these episodes early Sunday or Sunday afternoon. So The Last of Us season 2 is dropping, or is starting. That'll be next week. So we'll be like a weekish, like almost a week behind on that. That's just how it'll go. Now, what I do want to mention, start off, I don't know if there's any interest in it, but for me, a big part of my life is vinyl records. I mean, I love music. I love vinyls, and I've been buying a lot. I've been posting like vinyl unwrappings on my YouTube, because now that the Marvel Collector Core Funko box has discontinued, it's like I don't really have much to post on my YouTube channel, and I don't really have the time or energy to be creative about it, because I have no energy from teaching and doing everything else. So I've been doing some vinyl unwrappings occasionally when I get something cool, and part of it is it's like, wait, what? You're unwrapping a record? Like, what is that about? And the reason is like when they're colored vinyls, and usually exclusive vinyls. So I just been sharing that, and is there a big interest? Maybe not, but it's just gives me something to do, and it's fun. So what happened at this weekend, this past weekend, the other Saturday, is Record Store Day. Record Store Day happened. I love my record store. I give them a shout out, Watts in Novato, California. It is the only record store I will go to. I do not live in Novato, California, but I will go out of my way. I'll go to next town or next 2 town, whatever, to go there. I am totally loyal to that store. They are amazing, and they just the way, I don't know how other stores run Record Store Day, but it's a crazy thing. So what is Record Store Day? In case you're like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? It happens twice a day. And it's for like indie record stores. What happens is like the bands and the record labels, they will release like limited exclusive vinyls, often colored or whatever, super limited sometimes, that are only available on this day at indie record stores. So you can't go to Target or wherever you go to and get this. I think you can go to like Amoeba, and maybe, is Tower Records still around? You could probably go to like record store. It's only record stores, but I don't think like you're not gonna see these at Target or wherever you might get your vinyls. Target, they have their own exclusive, and so forth. So it's a way, which is great. I think it's amazing that the music industry does this. It's like, let's promote these smaller record stores, because they are so vital. I mean, if it's not for them, they're the gateway for so many people. You might have your Target or Walmart. I think Walmart, they sell records too. You may have these big big box stores, whatever, that sell stuff, but they don't have everything. Like if you want to get, a Marvin Gaye album or Miles Davis, or I don't know why I'm going jazz or whatever, but if you want to get like some obscure, like, oh, I want to get this old Pink Floyd album, you're not going to find these at these other stores. And often at least with my stores, like sometimes I'm like, hey, do you have this? And sometimes they can order it from the distributor. There's different things, and I think they're just essential to the vinyl collecting, and I'm so happy that vinyl records are making this big comeback, because the store in Novato that I go to, they've been there for years, and so it makes me happy that they're getting so many new customers and stuff like that. So with the record store days, it happens twice a year, and like I said, a lot of stuff is like limited, and sometimes you just get lucky. So they try to order what the customers want, what people are going to want, and I would not like that job, because you kind of need to know what the clientele wants and what people want. Like oh, here's this new thing. Should I order? I could get a bunch of this one, but are people going to buy it? Because you don't want to be stuck with this inventory. So long story short, what I was able to get, I didn't get everything that I wanted, which is fine. The one thing I didn't get, because Wicked, the Wicked soundtrack came out. It's like, I don't own it on vinyl, and I don't know if I would buy it. I mean, I saw one like on Reddit. I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. And there's like the collectionist whatever in me that sometimes I was like, oh, that'd be cool to have. I don't know if I would actually listen to it often, if at all, type of thing. But it would be cool to have in the collection type of thing, which is not the best mindset to have, whatever, just in terms of my wallet. But they had a glitter version, and it's a different cover, which is kind of neat. It's just like the two hands holding. So I thought that'd be cool. And there is one extra song in that. So I wasn't able to get that. That's fine. But what I did get, so there was a 7-inch for Taylor Swift and Post Malone, Fortnite. Did I need it? I thought it'd be cool to have. Just I buy all the other Taylor Swift albums, so I was like, I'll get that. And it has this remix that you can stream it. It's a blondish remix. So I got that. But I was also able to get the Post Malone tribute to Nirvana. So I don't know anything. This I think it happened during COVID, where he did this tribute thing, this concert, live, whatever thing. So I was like, cool, that's on vinyl, because you can't get that anywhere else. I got the Gorillaz. They released Live at the Apollo. Now, I did search this before, and it is on YouTube. I don't know if it's officially released by them or if someone else posted that. So I haven't been able to check that out. I got the Top Secret soundtrack. So this is probably like my gem find, because this was super limited. And unfortunately, as you know, Val Kilmer passed. So I super duper pooper got lucky that I was able to get this, because, and of course I'm going to open it, because I'm sure some people are like, oh, this is going to be worth more, but it's like, no, that's not why I'm not one of those people. I'm not going to buy something to try to flip it. That I don't do that. So if you saw the movie Top Secret, it's Val Kilmer being funny, and one side of the vinyl is the orchestra or whatever, the music score. The second half is the songs that Val Kilmer sang. So when I saw it, I was like, yeah, I'll get that, and I was able to get it. And it was like on my wish list type of thing when I saw, because they release a list, so okay, these are the ones I want to try to get, and hopefully you get what you want, or everything. I got the Doors. There was a Strange Days. It was a work in progress, is what it's called, and I haven't checked this out. It's supposed to be kind of like it's okay. Let's see. I have it right here. Rough mixes from the album's early 1967 sessions, discovered after 58 years. And I'm like, really? Like, it was just discovered? Maybe. I feel like the Doors. I love the Doors. I feel like they're still constantly putting out these different versions or whatever. And sometimes it's just, here's a new colored whatever. But this, they just discovered it. Maybe. I mean, part of me is like, they must have just discovered it, because they would have released it already if they had this before. So I'm curious to see. So this is what the hype sticker says: without the final overdubs heard on the original release, and it's on translucent blue vinyl. So I'm really curious to check out how that sounds. So that'd be cool. Strange Days is a good album, classic album. So I'm happy I got that. I also got Aha. So this is a Hunting High and Low, the demos. And I believe these have been released. I don't think there's anything really new here. They've been released. I don't know if it was only like on streaming, but last time I listened to it, it was like, a deluxe version, and it has like all these different, and some of the demo versions are kind of different. Sounds like, yeah, if I happen to be able to get it, I'll get it, and it was a little on the cheaper end. And so I was happy that I got that. I also picked up non-record store day. I picked up the American Anthem soundtrack. Who remembers that movie? It's like a couple of gymnasts, and it was your typical story. You got I haven't watched it in forever. This is like an 8 movie from the 80s, and it's not a John Hughes movie. So this kid moves to this desert. I think it was like a desert town. He's a gymnast. And then there's this girl gymnast that, she's really cute, and he's got, whatever. So I think it's kind of like the typical, like the Pretty in Pink, some kind of wonderful, kid on the wrong side of the tracks trying to get with the other girl. And I don't know if there's a bully, with snobby dude involved or whatever. And I don't remember much of the movie, but the reason I got it, there's some good songs on here. There's like an NXS song, which is on their album Listen Like Thieves, but there's a couple Andy Taylor songs. So I could do a whole music podcast. Maybe I should do that, like on the secret. I don't know. But Andy Taylor from Duran Duran is, if you're not familiar, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, Duran Duran, whatever. Duran Duran is good. Hungry Like the Wolf, Girls on Film, The Reflex, Wild Boys. They got some good hits out there. But Andy Taylor, man, when he just, I was like, holy cow, this is, and because I kind of look, as much as I like Duran Duran, I was like, this is the dude from Duran Duran? He's rocking. So he had his couple songs on this soundtrack. I think he had at least one song on the Miami Vice soundtrack. I think that was I Might Lie. But then he put out his own album, which I still have the cassette. And I think that's, did I say I Might Lie? I think that's the name of the album. But there's some he's rocking songs. So I was like, it was like a used, it was like $5.99. I was like, yeah, I'm going to get this. That was my record store day. And I've been saving for that for a while. But now that is your record update. That has been very long. So hopefully, I could always talk about, hey, these are the vinyls I got this week. I don't know if there's any interest or not in that. But there's something about listening to records, as if you do, you know what I'm talking about. On with the news. So maybe I should add that in the time codes in case anyone wants to skip over that. With the news, like I said, not a whole lot of news. One thing that kind of bothered me, and I kind of fell for it. I kind of knew this is what it was gonna be, but it's like Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, first look type of thing. And what's her name look? I'm sorry. What does she look like in everything like that? What is it? It's exactly what I thought it was gonna be. It's stupid. It's not set photos. Well, it is set photos. It is like paparazzi scum photos, like super heavy watermarked because it's someone with a drone or whatever spy lens, and they're just taking crap shots. I think there was like videos, and I didn't look at it because the site they had them embedded from, I don't know if it was Twitter or X or whatever somewhere. I was like, I'm not going to even watch those. I don't even care to see those, and it's probably going to look like crap, just like the Superman images that were released. And it really bothers me that people do this and post this, because it's not like, oh yeah, we're so excited we want to see it. It's like, no, you're trying to lay claim, because like you could see it a watermark. It was like E something. I don't even want to give them credit, but I'm not going to deny it. It was E some. I don't know if it was like 3 letters, but it's like E something exclusive. It's like, whatever. And I've said this before. No one gives a rat's tail, rat's butt, whatever, whoever's posting these. People are going to look at this, and maybe if it's a video like that, and if they embed your video, you'll get the views. But people are just going to like screenshot your image. Maybe your watermark that's stupidly all over will still be in there, but no one cares. No one's going to say, oh yeah, Joe Schmo, took this picture on his iPhone 7. Like, oh, check it out. So people will post it, but what is it going to get from you? And it just really, really bothers me. And speaking of photography or of paparazzi, I saw, so I don't know if you use Threads or not. It's Tony's Snowbox rant. I don't know if every once in a while I open up Threads and I get some random, because it's not I don't think it's default to who you're following. I get these random other videos and posts from other people that I don't never heard of, that I'm not following. And there was ones like Justin Bieber crashed out on. I'm like, what crash out? What does that mean? I had asked my daughter about that, and she explained it. And he did not crash out. If you know what crash out, he didn't lose it. But it's basically he was somewhere, and some paparazzi people were like trying to take pictures of him, and he's like walking up to him, like he doesn't get like violent or anything like that, but he's really calling him out. He's holding his hand up like in front of him, so you're not going to really see his face or anything like that, so that's not going to be worth it. And then he's like, money, 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 money. And so I think people were saying that they were concerned about him because he was saying that over. But no, he had a point. He's like, you guys, that's all you guys care about is just the money. It's like, you don't care about people. You're just, because they're just trying to get the shot. And that's deplorable. I mean, if you do that for a living, man, I'm sorry. And I'm sorry if you're offended, but it's just, you don't do that. There's a time and a place. And, I've used the example when my daughter and I when the one year she went with me to Comic-Con, and, we saw Adrienne Palicki outside across the street, several blocks away from the convention center. My daughter loved her on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And, I thought it would have been so cool to get for my daughter to have a picture of her and Adrienne Palicki. But because she wasn't working, it was after convention hours. It was after when the floor closed at 7, and she was out there with, I don't know if it was her friends, I don't know if it was her entourage or her agent or who she was with. She was with other people, and she was on. She was not on. She was not working. She was off. Maybe she was going to some event or something like that, and maybe she might be cool with it. She might not be. But I don't have the right. She owes me nothing. She owes my daughter nothing. Even though we're fans of her work, you don't necessarily go. You can ask them, but even I sometimes would be hesitant to that, because then it puts them in the position. Do they say sure, or do they have to say no? And I wouldn't want to put someone in an awkward position where, oh, I don't want you to worry. Am I going to get offended? And am I going to? And then even that, some people are going to take it the wrong way and then make a big thing. So you don't go up to people, to celebrities, when they're not on duty. And then there's the other thing is, like, some celebrities, and that's their choice. Some celebrities, they charge for the selfies and stuff like that. So why should you get it for free just because you're out there? You don't owe that, and when they charge, yeah, sometimes it's like you're charging that much just for a selfie, but that's how they make their living. Okay. So don't take pictures of celebrities. Yeah. Moving on. We've only covered one thing so far. Robert Pattinson. Good news, bad news. He apparently is going to be cast in Dune 3 as a villain. Man, I'm like, I listened to the audiobook of Dune, and I'm trying to think, it's like, we're doing 3 movies out of this book. It's like, where is this going? And is it, I don't even know. So he's being cast. Who is he being cast as? I don't even know. I don't remember. I listened to the book like maybe within the last 5 years, and I have no idea, because I think they're saying he's cast as a villain. But I'm like, because I even watched the David Lynch, the 1984 movie. Who else is there that we haven't seen already? And I don't even know. But he may be in Dune 3. It looks like it. He's got other stuff coming up because obviously he's in demand. He's a busy guy. What all this means is this might delay the Batman Part 2, which is weird, because how can, maybe because he has a certain stature or whatever, but a lot of times, like, you look at Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt can't do the Marvel movies because he has to do the terminal list or whatever. He's committed to that. He made that commitment. Maybe Robert Pattinson, because normally a lot of times it's like, well, I can't do this because I have to do that, right? So it could be like Robert Pattinson's like, hey, do you want to be in Dune 3? He's like, oh, I can't because I have to film the Batman Part 2. But it could be because of the delays with the script or whatever, so maybe there's not a firm date. So he's like, okay, we're not locked in yet. I'm going to sign up with this instead of just, his time is money. And while he is committed to doing the Batman, because of the delays, there's no reason why he should be sitting around waiting, keeping his schedule completely open in the hopes that, hey, are we going to start production this week, this month, next month? Like, what's going on? Someday we'll get it. I mean, that's unfortunate. Thunderbolts, what about this? I saw a report, and I don't know, is this really news? Is this worth mentioning? And because a lot of times you see like news stories or, quote unquote news stories or posts that just want to tear things down. There's so many people posting about like just knocking down, pooping on Snow White, which is really, I saw this one video again on Threads, and I was like, block or not interested, where someone was going off on Rachel. This video was based, I don't know if there's beef between Rachel Zegler and Jenna Ortega, but this was like this video was I hate Rachel Zegler, I love Jenna Ortega video. And there's like all these different clips out of context where it's making it look like Rachel Zegler has some problem with Jenna Ortega. Maybe she does. I have no idea. I am not a Rachel Zegler like #1 fan or supporter, but I would give her the benefit of the doubt. I really don't care. But I just don't think it's cool to poop all over people. So this video was like, fans are saying that that Disney should remake Snow White with Jenna Ortega. It's like, what? That is like this is the only reason I bring this up. It is so ridiculous. Okay, they spent all these millions of dollars on this live action, animated remake thing. Didn't do well because of other factors. I say it's a friggin' CG dwarves that killed the movie. But you got all these others, there's a Gal, and so a lot of people are saying it's like, no, it wasn't Rachel Zegler and any comments she may have made. It was more about Gal Gadot and her like whatever political stance, and there's all this stuff. But everyone, these vocal people want to target Rachel Zegler. So Disney, they lost money. They're probably losing money on this. So they're going to remake it with Jenna Ortega. And then my question is, can and I mean this sincerely, can Jenna Ortega sing? I have no idea. I don't recall her ever singing. Maybe she can. But then as I'm looking at the comments, some people are like, yeah, but Snow White is supposed to be white. And that was the whole thing. And that's like one of the controversy things. And again, is it because people are being racist or whatever? And I still don't know, did Disney specifically seek out a non-white person, or was it because Rachel Zegler was the best because she could sing and act and all that? But it's like, okay, so they're both persons of color. It makes no sense, but I thought that was funny. Yeah, we just lost all this money. Let's try it again. It's never going to happen. What am I getting at? So, this is like the weirdest episode maybe. Thunderbolts, the report is it's tracking below Captain America 4's opening weekend. And it's like, okay, is it necessary to make an article about that? One, the movie hasn't come out yet. There's still, a few weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 weeks. But the other thing is, while they're both Marvel movies, one has Captain America in the title. The other is Thunderbolts. What the heck is Thunderbolts? You look at your non-traditional, your non-comic book, non-knowledgeable, I don't want to say that, your non-comic book reading fans. People are not going to know necessarily what Thunderbolts are. It's different if it was like Avengers this, or if it was, whatever, or if you take like, Hawkeye or Black Widow, a character who was in one of the other movies. But when you just have Thunderbolts, what is Thunderbolts? I always think Thunderbolts and lightning, very, very frightening, So I feel like that could be part of it. So even though you have characters who have appeared in other movies, I don't think people are really, I am super excited to see this. I cannot wait to see this movie. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I hope it is. But I think it's silly to say, oh, it's not doing as well as Captain America. But then at the same time, it's like people were ripping at Captain America, I'm sure. So it's just, well, can't we be positive? Why do we have to have all these like negative stuff? Speaking of negative, Perfect segue. I didn't read any further information. I was like, I don't need to. But apparently, a lot of fans, I don't know why. I don't know if there's any justification. A lot of people are thinking or feeling that Mr. Negative, there's our segue, is going to be the villain in Spider-Man 4. Okay, like I said, I don't know why. Has there been any clues or hints dropped? Or is it just because, like, well, he was in a video game, he's in a comic, and he's someone that Sony hasn't used and kind of ruined. And they can't use Kingpin because he can only do TV, he can't do movies. The character can't be used in movies. So it's like, if we need some street mobster gang leader dude, okay, Mr. Negative. He's got powers, but he's not like so like over the top. Okay. And I think it'd be fine. And you got him and his gang, and okay. He's not my favorite villain, but I'd be okay with it. I think it'd be kind of cool to see what they would do with him. How the effects could look. And like I said, the people playing the video games, they're totally gonna know who he is. So it could be a good thing. But is there any hints, any reason, or is it just like a guess? Because it can't be a Rhino, can't be Morbius, won't be Vulture, won't be Venom. And we got Green Goblin. People could say that. Willem Dafoe, he's always talking about stuff. So who else really? Scorpions. We're not going to do Scorpion. They already did Mysterio. I forgot about that. So it's like, who are these other Spider-Man villains that we could have? And Enforcers? Probably not. So, okay, we'll see. It won't be Doc Ock, because he's been seen. So we'll see. Like I said, I'd be down with that. Let's talk about Andor, Star Wars Andor. So that is coming up. Here's another thing I'm annoyed by. So Disney Plus. So Andor season 2, final season, only season. It's only 2 seasons. It's always meant to be 2 seasons. It's premiering on April 22nd. Awesome, right? Their release schedule. So Disney has been doing kind of like I don't like this Daredevil, 2 episodes and then single episode, and then 2 episodes. It's like, wait, what? Why? What is going on? This is so weird. At least with Andor, it's going to be a little more consistent. And, you would think, they're probably going to drop 2 episodes the first week, then they'll do single episodes, and then maybe they'll do the last 2, at the end. Which I'm not, don't pump them out. Keep people, in what they're doing on April 22nd, they're releasing episodes 1, 2, and 3. The following week, on April 29th, they're releasing 3 episodes, 4, 5, and 6. The following week, on May 6th, they're releasing another 3 episodes, 7, 8, and 9. And then on May 13th, they are releasing 3 more episodes again, the final 3 episodes, 10, 11, 12. It's 12 episodes. Within 4 weeks, we're getting 12 episodes. Why? Why are you pumping it out? Why are you trying to get it all out there so people forget it? And some people are like, yeah, I want to binge it. I don't. If you like binging, great. I just don't understand for me personally, my opinion, no offense, I don't understand the binging attitude, because when you boom, 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 it's like you don't really have time to process and think about stuff, because then it's like I said, if there's a cliffhanger, boom, 10 seconds later, it's like, oh, okay, there was another branch over the cliff, so they're fine. Now, some people are saying, oh, well, the story is supposed to be like 3 episode arc, so it's like you get an Andor movie every week, all that. But that also means, is this going to be 3 hours every week? Tony, personal problem, I can't watch 3 hours on top of whatever else I'm watching. If there's nothing else, maybe, but I'm sure there's going to be some other stuff. So the big problem for me then, what do I even bother covering this? Because like with the Bondsman, where all episodes are out, I don't know how much longer I'm going to cover this. I'm really enjoying the show. I really like Kevin Bacon. I think he's great. The show, as I mentioned before, it's giving me like Evil Dead vibes, so I'm digging it. But now, I'm only covering the 2nd episode this week, and yeah, all episodes are already out there. I feel like even now I'm kind of pushing it that it's like it's too late. I don't know if that's just me being silly. And then there's also the thing, like what I mentioned before, is like, do people want to hear me talk about TV shows, or do they, are not interested in that? So I don't know what I'm going to do about Andor, because, like I said, there's no way. Watching 2 episodes of one show is hard enough when I'm trying to watch all the other shows plus comics and then go to the theater and then plus working during the day. So those who like binging, awesome for you, because you get 3 episodes every week. But who has time? There's other stuff to watch and do. I got to work. I mean, and even, I was going to say, like, oh, if it would have come out, like, during spring. No, because even then, I don't have time, because I'm not just going to sit in front of TV all the time. Yeah. But I think the reason they're doing this is because so it can be taken into consideration for an Emmy, because I think the Emmy deadlines are May 30th or something like that. So this way, boom, the whole season's out there so they can submit it for your approval type of thing. Which, if that's the case, I get it, but that seems kind of, I don't know. It seems weird, because then who's going to be talking about it? It's like, boom, it's gone. It's like, remember, oh yeah, Andor came out. Yeah, so that's just a Tony problem. So you can have that to look forward to. We'll see what I do. Speaking of Prime, which I'll probably drop this whole thing, there's going to be a Stephen King's Carrie TV series. I'm like, really? It didn't just have one movie; it had 2 movies, and which I never saw the second movie. I've always been curious, but they're doing a TV series, which. How many episodes are we talking about? And is it just going to be a 1 season? 'Cause, I mean, I can't understand it. But it's Mike Flanagan involved. So that's like, what is he cooking? What is he thinking? There's got to be something. What? So anyways, there's going to be a Carrie TV series, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be on Prime. Summer H. Howell, who was in Curse of Chucky, Cult of Chucky, and Channel Zero, is in talks, I guess, to play Carrie. But I'm trying to think, I'm trying to remember my Chucky movies. Curse of Chucky and Cult of Chucky. I'm trying to think who, I don't know, I haven't looked at it. I should look up who Summer H. Howell is, but... Okay, I looked her up, because my question, and I had to bring it up, it's like, wait, how old is she if she's going to play, like, 16, 17-year-old Carrie, I'm assuming. And I was trying to think, like, who was she in the movie? Because it's like, she'd be too old. Because, her acting debut was in one of the Chucky movies, which she was 8 years old in 2013. That would put her, like, 2020, 12 years, like 20 now. So if she's 20, then yeah, she can play a teenager. Okay. I'm just really curious, what is a Carrie TV show going to be like? Is it just going to be her at home with her? Wasn't her mom kind of crazy, and she was just like bullied by kids at school? Like, that doesn't sound fun. Don't be a bully. Oh, The Last of Us. So season 2 starts, as I mentioned, is starting. It has been renewed for season 3 already, before season 2 even started. And it's probably like, yeah, that Pedro Pascal guy, he's kind of busy. Let's lock it in now. It could turn out like, maybe everyone's like, yeah, we're not going to watch season 2 of Last of Us. We're done with it. We don't need any more zombie-ish stuff, which is not going to happen. But no, they're like, let's lock it in. We got something special here. So that's awesome. When are they going to start? Hopefully, I don't know. See, here's the thing, which I have no idea. Are they done? Is season 2 wrapped? Have they filmed it all, and everything's done? Because I'm trying to think, like, what Pedro Pascal, because when did they film this? And because then they got to do promotion for this, and then in a few months he's going to have to be promoting Fantastic Four. Yes, I don't know. But get season 3. Are they working on the writing now? Just get going on it. Keep. This is awesome. So keep it going. And the last bit of news This is crazy. This is the longest news segment, so I apologize. And I'm so tempted not to talk about this. This is so absolutely ridiculous. I kind of hate myself that I'm giving this guy a platform, but this is just so ridiculous. Bo DeMaio, the quote unquote creator of the first season of Marvel's X-Men '97. So the article I read. That's how it listed him. Is he really the creator of X-Men '97? Maybe he was the showrunner. Maybe he wrote the script, whatever like that. But I don't understand how he could be the creator of it when the show basically picks up from the original animated series. What did he create to it? He created the scripts maybe, but he didn't create it. It is a continuation. Did they add new characters? Even if he's adding new characters, he's adding characters from the comics. But whatever. So the creator of X-Men '97, he's complaining. What is he complaining about? Marvel, MCU, of course. He's complaining about how the MCU is handling Namor and Johnny Storm. Joseph Quinn. He talked about how his portrayal of Johnny Storm is different from the Chris Evans one, and one of the things they're mentioning that basically he's not going to be like a womanizer, that he's actually more conscious of people's feelings or something like that. And DeMaio is saying that Disney is softening him, and they did the same thing with Namor. So basically he's saying that they should be misogynists, they should be basically like scumbags, and that maybe to be more like him. If that's what I saw in the comments. They're saying that's not I don't know anything about him so much, just from what the reports say. But he's complaining that does Johnny Storm, does he need to be a womanizer? That's all he cares about? It's not what he does in the comics. Even if you look at the comics now, he's not like that. And some people might be like, oh, they've changed him in the comics, whatever. And, is that part of the woke agenda? Does this count as woke? Or is woke only a race thing? I don't even know. But he's complaining that basically Johnny's not going to be a scumbag that just wants to get it on with the ladies. Really? And it's just the fact he's also went on, he was commenting, there's all these whatever Twitter replies to how Marvel doesn't want to tell stories anymore. No one wants to write for them because they don't do stories, because it's only what Kevin Feige wants or whoever. And it's man, you are just, I get that he's bitter, but didn't he kind of make his own bed with the allegations? I mean, I'm sorry, when you're sharing sexual inappropriate things, oh, here's character designs, and it's and whatever else the accusations were, I don't know. But there's your news. So yeah, we got a softening of Johnny Storm to look forward to. And we also have the rest of the show. We got so much to talk about, but that's the news for the week. With comic books, we had Exquisite Corpses #1. So this was a ash can, and I'm not sure how widely available this was. If anyone could check this out, but this I'm so excited for this series. So this is by James Tynion IV and Michael Walsh and Jordi Belair, and it's. I don't think it's really giving anything away, because this is just the ash can. But basically, there's the idea is there's people that are actually running everything. It's not who we think. It's not like the U.S. government or whatever. People are put there. That there's these ruling families type of thing. These people that are in true power or whatever. And apparently, what they do is every 5 years, to see who's going to be on top, they'll do these competitions. They basically kind of buy out a small town, and it's just like a killing frenzy, basically, like a free fall, like last man standing. The last whoever's person wins, then they kind of rule for 5 years, type of thing. So I think that's the rough, because I don't want to go back and read it, but I think that's the rough idea. So we kind of, I guess I could just read this thing. Yeah, so it's in 1775, the 13 wealthiest families in North America decided that they would no longer be subject to rule by their counterparts in England. So it does these. The ruling family chooses a small town in America, seals it off from the rest of the country. The other families each select a dangerous killer to wield one of the 12 heirloom weapons. Killers must eliminate their opponents without leaving the playing field until they are the last one standing. The family whose killer survives to the end rules America until the next game. So then what we have, it's kind of like the town, you see the town being set up or whatever, and then it's just kind of like files on all the different killers. So we get little stats and little description, and it's like fascinating. These are like wow, and it's got like their kill counts. So now the thing is, if all of these are going to die except for one, that's like kind of crazy that, to put all this time and creative energy, like, oh, I need to create another person, and they're all going to get killed. It's just, I don't know, I find it like just morbidly fascinating, and I'm super excited for this. So you should definitely check that out. There was also Free Planet #1, Ashcan. Did I read that? I don't think I read that. Geiger #13 came out. Yeah, things are we got Geiger and this woman who is like I forget her name, Ashley, where she has like basically power similar to his, and she's been helping him. We get more of her backstory, but the question is, can she be trusted? Because there's a reveal in the last issue, like the last page. It's like, wait, what does this mean? Yeah, so I just Geiger. So just reread the story. It's Jeff Johns, it's Gary Frank, Brad Anderson. I mean, this is I just find this so fascinating, and every time this book comes out, it's it's going to be interesting, and I hate to say it, but some of the mainstream books, a lot of times it's just. And I don't know if there's just more editorial red tape or stuff that, especially like, oh, this event, whatever rule under doom, so there's all this stuff that kind of gets in the way. It's meant to pump up the books, but sometimes it just it causes delays, it causes obstacles, and the creative teams, their hands are tied because of whatever. And so these Jeff John books, and not just these books, but the fact that they can live on their own. So it's kind of exciting because they can do whatever they want, and there is something to be said about that. Now again, I love Marvel books, I love DC books, but sometimes it's hard to get excited, and because so many come out, sometimes nothing really happens, and it's like, wait, is this an important book, or is this just And I hate when I read this and I'm like, this, I was not excited by this. But Geiger is good. You should be reading that. G.I. Joe Real American Hero, Jinx one shot. So this was one of the silent mission books. So we're getting more of these. So this was by Dani, D-A-N-I, who did Arkham City, The Order of the World, and Dan Waters. So this was kind of cool, but the problem is, okay, so here's what the premise is. So it's one of the silent interlude things, but in this standalone issue, it puts the iconic G.I. Joe ninja Jinx in the most dangerous mission of her life. She has 20 seconds and 20 pages of real-time action to escape a Cobra base on Snowy Mountain of Death. Now the thing is, my issue with this is, okay, if this is 20 seconds, does that mean it's going to take you 20 seconds to read it? No, it's going to take you a little more than 20 seconds, but not much. The problem that I have is where whether it's like each page is a second, there's like the 5 other panels or however many panels are on that page. There's no way that is just 1 second. maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but I feel like too much is happening within that 1 second. Because 1 second, 1, 2, 3. There's no way all this stuff. That was the only issue that I had. But then yeah, so when you read these issues, that is a problem where you might be forced to like oh no, I should read it, and then maybe you get into it and you start like going fast. But then you're done within a couple minutes, if even that, like maybe a minute, and it's like, wait, I'm done with the issue. I paid $5 for this or whatever, $4. It was fine. It didn't blow me away. It was a fine issue, but yeah, we'll see how these other ones go. And this is the only reason why I'm kind of skeptical and cautious about all these silent interlude books, because I feel like it's just kind of the same thing where the more we get like so quickly, so closely together, it just feels more like a gimmick. And I feel like this is a cool concept. It should be used sparingly. It shouldn't be coming out weekly. Like if anything, it's like you should have done this monthly or something like that. I don't know. What do I know? We also had, the Phantom Road 11. Have I not been reading that? Man, I am so behind in that. Then we had Transformers 19, which I haven't read this. So like my buddy, he loves this book. I don't love it. I don't have anything against it, but I'm just like, The last issue I read, I forget what it was, where Starscream, he's like damaged, so he kind of like merges himself with a Cobra Hiss tank. It's like, what? I don't know, maybe it's gotten better. I should be reading it, but I haven't been. So that is Image Comics, and there wasn't anything at Dynamite or Dark Horse that I read. Let's see, Marvel, we had Alien Paradiso #5. Who's working on this book? Steve Fox, Edgar Salazar. Yeah, because I haven't been reading that. I don't know anything how that is. But Amazing Spider-Man #1 came out. Another #1. This is really, see the legacy number, if I can see on the cover. This is really issue 965. So what that means in 10 issues, we're going to get maybe a 975th special. And then, of course, we're going to have the 1000th special. They'll go back to the original numbering. Whatever. Amazing Spider-Man #1, Joe Kelly, Pepe Larraz. And it's no secret that the eight deaths of Spider-Man, the many deaths of Spider-Man, wasn't great. And again, I wonder if I don't know why, because Joe Kelly was one of the writers on there. And one thing I'm wondering, it's like we had, I think, was it 3 different writers on there? It's like, do we really need 3 writers for that? And I don't know if it's because it wasn't, I don't know what the schedule was. I don't think it was monthly. It was coming out more faster than monthly, it seemed like. But it just, it wasn't, I don't feel like there was anything like overly memorable or creative. It's like Spider-Man fighting these different entities or whatever. And yeah, but the good news is this issue, it's like we're back on track. This feels more like Amazing Spider-Man, how it should be. It starts off where, unfortunately, Peter Parker is trying to get a job. And because of the Parker look, it's not happening. He's has a reputation because of, you would think, well, he had Parker Industries, but because of Dr. Octopus, things kind of crashed. And like one person mentions like, oh, you plagiarized this thing, this one, whatever paper, because Doc Ock basically wrote his own thing, and Peter was accused of ripping off Dr. or Otto Octavius, even though that wasn't him. And you would think that you could say, yeah, that wasn't me. In a world where it happens, my brain was taken over by Otto Octavius. How do you prove that? But I brought this up before. the whole thing, like Bucky Barnes. Is Bucky Barnes accountable for the stuff that he did while brainwashed? Because, it's almost like that's an easy out. Like, I didn't do it. It wasn't me. Someone brainwashed me. Someone telepathically made me do it. I don't know how you can deal with that. But yeah, so Peter, his luck is bad enough as it is, and then he's got to deal with that. And it's just, whenever, like, there was one interview where things look like, things could be going great. Wait, what's that commotion outside? Rhinos, like, causing havoc and stuff like that. So there's definitely some cool things here. Yeah, and then there's like kind of a bit of a cliffhanger. It's like, wait, what does this mean? What was behind Rhino's attack thing? So I'm excited for it again. So this is a good start. Do we need a new number one? No, I think that's silly, but whatever. Then we have Daredevil number 20. I'm surprised they didn't number this, make this Daredevil number 1. It's a new story arc. We have the same writer, Saladin Ahmed is still writing, but after a 19-part storyline, their new start, new costume. Daredevil is apparently, because his other costume is trash. He's like, well, I still got my armor in the closet somewhere. Like, how? Like, how would he still have this if he was dead and then he somehow came back as a priest and was working at a church which like was a shelter for children? How does he still have his old possession? I mean, I guess maybe it got put in storage somewhere instead of like destroyed or anything like that. So he's back in his old costume. And then, which I meant to look her up. So he's hooked up with this one woman. You see her on the cover, and I think I vaguely remember because it says that he met her when he lost his memory and he was calling himself Jack Murdoch or just Jack, and then they kind of like got together and everything. So they ran into each other and they're just like, yeah, hey, type of thing. It just seems weird. So because he's like, well, Elektra won't talk to me, she's out looking for Wilson Fisk and that. So then he immediately just like, I'm gonna fall into bed with someone else. You talk about womanizing. No, he's not necessarily womanizing, but Daredevil, he gets around. Let's just say that. But I enjoyed this issue. It's definitely it's way better. I just did not care for all these hell demons, whatever, possessing people, and that. How the issue ends is kind of weird, but we'll see where it goes. So I'm glad that last story arc is over. Then we have Doctor Strange of Asgard, issue 2. This is kind of weird, but I'm digging it. Derek Landy is the writer. Carlos Magno is doing the art. So you see Doctor Strange and Loki. I guess we can talk about what happened in the first issue. Doctor Strange is in Asgard. He's like trying to get a job for some reason because he's no longer the Sorcerer Supreme. So I think he needs to do something. He's supposed to meet with like some magician person of Asgard. I forget her name, but then she ends up getting killed by Loki, and like right in front of Doctor Strange. And then Loki comes to him. He's like, I didn't do it. And he's like, I saw you do it. He's like, yeah, but it wasn't. So basically, like Loki's trying to say someone possessed him, made him do it, or whatever. So Doctor Strange is trying to get to the bottom of it because he actually, even though he saw Loki do it, he believes him. He knows he's got a mistress, blah blah blah, stuff like that. Because Loki's like you got to help me because he's like, I can't just go to Thor because we're always on such shaky grounds. There's no way he's going to believe me if he hears about this. So it's type of like, you got to help me because I got nowhere else to go to. So Doctor Strange is trying, how do you hide a body? And then some people are like, where is what's her name? We haven't seen her in a while, and she was friggin' murdered, and it's like, what is going on? So yeah, I'm definitely I'm intrigued with this, even though I'm not a big fan of the Asgard stuff for whatever reason. But I'm intrigued with this. I think it's kind of silly that it's like One World Under Doom banner at the top of the comic, but I guess the only reason is because Doctor Strange isn't the Sorcerer Supreme, so that's why he's there. But to call this a Doctor Doom book or tie-in, I don't know. Incredible Hulk, issue 24. Guess what? I actually read this issue, and I kind of regret it. When I saw the cover, I was like, oh, Clea is on there. I like Clea. And what does this mean? So, as you know, I haven't been keeping up with the Incredible Hulk. He's still with that girl. I keep forgetting her name. I don't know if her name is Charlie. She's been kind of possessed. She's got like some power thing, and the Hulk's like, that this is dangerous, even though she likes the power, but he figures let's go to Doctor Strange to try to get some help, because along with the power, there's going to be like a group of people or entities or whatever that are going to be coming after her and wanting to consume her or whatever. So they go, Clea's there because Doctor Strange is in Asgard, and things don't quite go as smoothly as it seems, because it seems like she's willing to help and she can help, but then things kind of take a turn. So if you read it, you probably know why I'm like, oh man, I actually read that. So we'll see. I'll just say something happens to Clea, and it seemed like it shouldn't have happened to her. But what do I know? Laura Kinney, Wolverine, issue 5. This was fun. This is like kind of concluding the Laura and Bucky team up. They've been working together. I don't really care for like the villain so much that they were up against this like anti-mutant dude or whatever, but I like the interaction between the two. It was kind of a strange interaction, and at times I'm wondering, it's like, are they gonna kind of like have these two hook up? Because Bucky, I don't know if he's still with Natasha, if he's with Black Widow or not, because that seems like it's been an on again, off again thing. But then the other thing is like, well, Bucky is like, and because she keeps calling him like an old man and old timer and all this stuff like that, because he is old. He was frozen and all that stuff. Yeah, so it might be kind of weird because I guess she's still like, is she a teenager? I don't know if she's turned 20 yet. I can't keep track of how time works in the comics. But it was just like a fun interaction because, neither one of them are like in not necessarily the best standings, but they're kind of like rogues in a way. So I like they're working together. I thought it was kind of fun. Phoenix number 10. I don't know if I read the last issue. I read through this one, and then I can't get in it. I love Jean Grey. I love the character. I'm fascinated with the idea of her being Phoenix again, but just all this galactic stuff is just, I just cannot get into it. So I don't know. The only thing of interest here is someone pops up at the end, someone close to Phoenix, Jean, and it's like, wait, what does this mean? Where is this going? Maybe things will get better, be more interesting for me, but yeah, I just, I don't know what it is. And then Spider-Gwen, Ghost Spider. I mean, I love this cover. I think that cover is so amazing. It looks like an old, whatever, 50s sci-fi comic. She's like in this spacesuit. It's like a spacesuit version of her costume. You can see her face, which is kind of weird. Is that a cosmic cube in her hand? What is this, like, this beast that's like reaching for her with all these tentacles? And then it's like, wait, is that Loki in the background on some like space dune buggy whatever thing? But that was one problem. It's like, wait, how's Loki here? What's the continuity? That always drives me, nuts, whatever. But then as I was reading this, I'm just like, I had a hard time kind of getting into it. It's like, wait, where are they at? What is going on? They're like some other planet or something. It's like, wait, what? So then I kind of stopped reading. So I don't know. Maybe next issue, it's Phoenix is going to be here. So I don't know. Maybe I should check that out. But I know I didn't read the last issue. And it's like, I don't even know what happened to that other dude that was the tarantula dude. I must have missed that. Then we have, so I didn't read Storm number 7. I'm not sure what happened there. There's I didn't read the Ultimates. I should have read that. We've got Loki on the cover. That's interesting. What does this mean? Because I don't think we've seen Ultimate Loki. I think I didn't read this because I was thinking it was Ultimate X-Men, which I'm not reading, but I should have read that, so my bad on that. And then we have the Uncanny X-Men, number 13. This was, what I thought was weird about this is it's like we have 3 different storylines, totally unrelated, happening. And it's just like, boom, boom. It's like there's no seemingly connection between those. So we got this lady, and I think in the weekly thing that's like in every issue, like the write-up of like, here's a Marvel, here's a creators, interviews and whatever, they showed this image of this woman, and it's like she's supposed to be the most important mutant in history or something like that. So this is a black woman, and I don't know if it says the year, but we see her like leaving this town in Chicago, and there's stuff with like symbols, and there's people making like the mutant sign. So there's something with that, and she's also dealing with the fact that she's black. Like when she gets off the train, this dude's like oh, there's not many bathrooms for us. He's a conductor dude. He's like, so go when you can, and there's like a sign. It's like or there's like waiting rooms, or there's like a sign for men, ladies, and then Negroes. So she's dealing with that on top of the fact that she must be a mutant, but she's trying to hide it. And there's like this horrible scene, like when she gets to this town, and this stupid white dude, grabs her luggage and stuff like that. It's just it's appalling. But we have that, and we got a bunch of Rogue and Gambit stuff where Gambit gets kind of called off by that dragon demon thing that he whatever, which ends up taking him, because he's like, I'm not here to fight, whatever. He's like, but get on, and he does it, and he's just dressed in his like little shorts. He's like, doesn't even put on a jacket or anything. So they end up going to the Savage Land. It's like, wait, you can? How fast are you? Did you fly through a portal? How'd you get to the Savage Land so fast? And then there's stuff with the kids where I forget the death kid. There's like some secret thing, and like the people at the house are like, oh, they're finding the doors, like, but we can't stop them or something like that. And these are the different things going on, and all the time. I guess Rogue is like sleeping through all of this, and for some reason Rogue is like always cold, because she's stealing the covers, and she tells Remy, she's like, oh, grab me a comforter. It's like, dude, you took all the covers. He's just in his little shorts, and now you want him to get up to get you a comforter, which he's the man, you should do. But it's like, dude, you can. This is Rogue. She's not a little waif. She can. Why is she so cold? If she's from Louisiana, it's not like. I don't know. So it was just a weird issue, I think. I don't know. But it just, to me, while it was kind of interesting that, like, I'm curious about this woman, I forget her name, from the past. How is this going to tie in? And it's like, wait, where are the kids going? I don't really care for them so much. I have no investment in them. But it felt a little disjointed. I was just like, bloom, bloom, bloom. Just kept jumping back and forth, but I don't know. Over at DC, we had Absolute Batman, number 7. And it's just, I don't know. I mean, this was fine. It is interesting. We're seeing, because, so one of the differences between this and the regular Batman books, and I've said this with the Absolute books, where if you're going to do these books, don't just do carbon copies of what already exists, because what's the point? Have it the familiar elements, but have some other twist, something to make it stand out on its own, to veer off from the regular, core elements of the book. And one of the elements here is that Bruce Wayne was friends with basically like his rogues gallery. He was friends with, I'm pretty sure, Harvey Dent, with Killer Croc, with who else? I'd see this happened the last time where I can't think of everyone. But he's like friends with them. And and the thing that we find out here, which is not a spoiler, he was actually friends with Matches Malone. There actually was a Matches Malone, which is weird, but kind of cool. Because, I don't think Matches Malone was ever a real person. It's just this identity that Bruce Wayne created. But the thing is, his friends, they basically kind of know he's Batman. It's not that hard to figure out. and he's gone to them for different things, and it's pretty obvious. And it's weird because they're sort of, they're kind of unsavory types. They're not the most like straight and narrow group. And from what we know, they're hardcore villains in the regular universe, but they're not here. And by doing this, it's like, are they at some point, could they become a villain? And then it's like, oh, betrayal and stuff like that. But then if you do that, and it's like, well, they know his secret. And I really don't like when villains know the hero's secret identity, because I feel like that gives them an extreme unfair advantage, and they never use that advantage. It's like, if you know someone's secret identity, boom, you target them. They are at your mercy because your loved ones, your whole life is in their hands. But then the villains never do that, which is just silly. So I don't know. It's like Deathstroke. Like Deathstroke knowing that if he knows Bruce Wayne is Batman and he has to fight him, is it supposed to be it would be not honorable to use that? But Deathstroke kills people. Where's the honor in that? It's like, oh, it's just a contract. It's like, that just silly. I could come back to Deathstroke in just a second. So the other thing with Absolute Batman, because he's so big, it's like, wait, is this Bruce Wayne or is this Clark Kent? Because I almost feel like that would be a good model, like all-star Superman Clark Kent. So yeah, Bruce is investigating some stuff, and there's a focus on Matches Malone, which was interesting in that. But then also, Alfred Pennyworth is out of town, but he's helping him, and it's almost like, wait, suddenly they're buddies. It's like Alfred hated him; they did not get along, and yeah, it seemed like Alfred agreed to work with him at the end of the first story arc or whatever. But here, when it's almost like he's compassionate. Alfred, it's like, would he care that much? It was just kind of weird. Well, with Deathstroke, so I haven't been. When did Deathstroke? Is Deathstroke dead? Because I've been seeing the ads in the DC comics back from the dead. It's like, wait, I was like, wait, when did he die? And did he really die? And if he did die, how is he back? So did he not die? What is going on? I need to start reading Teen Titans. Or I would love to catch up, but I don't know if that's going to happen, because I haven't been reading the last few months, because it hasn't been great. At one point it was great. I don't know if it's a current team that, yeah, I forgot what it was, what turned me off. But yeah, we'll see. I should probably start. We have DC versus Vampire, World War V. Hopefully someday I can catch up with that. Green Lantern Corps #3. I did not love this. There's something, I don't know what it was. They're investigating some Red Lanterns atrocities, because they basically, what the Red Lantern destroyed, that really put them at mercy, because the Red Lanterns are really connected to their power battery. So without having that, it's not that they lose their powers, but it's like they can't survive without it. So there was the one big round member bald dude, whatever his name is, he was kind of using, or had some of the energy, and but yeah, and then you have Hawk Girl here, who's super angry, and let's just kill whatever atrocitus or whatever, and John's like, no, and yeah. So, and but it was weird. I don't think they mentioned it, because then I started not full reading and just sort of skimming. But in Green Lantern, they talked about I think they said that we have to start up the other batteries as well, and they're like, wait, that's not a good idea, but it's they have to for the balance of whatever the universe and all that. But they didn't mention well, we need to start up the Red Lantern again, or recreate it, or get it going, or so I don't know. Batman and Robin #20. So I haven't been reading these lately. The whole Memento whatever storyline, I don't even know how that ended. But one thing that apparently happened is Damian is missing. So Bruce is trying to find him, and he's getting the rest of the Bat family involved. And then what was kind of neat, but also kind of about this issue, is one, it starts off with Alfred's journal. So we get this really cool artwork like kind of pencil, whatever, classic, like looks like drawings. Like there's a moment of like Bruce and Thomas, from the past, where it's like, wait, so Bruce was like a little brat because his dad was busy one day when he was supposed to do something. But then it goes into like Bruce or Batman in Damian's room, and he looks at his journal. It's basically like a book that Damian was drawing, like a comic, like a graphic novel that he made, and it's like so amazing. It's like everything. It's like when is he ever going to have time for this? And it's a story. It's like Robin and Batman, and where he's the lead and all this stuff, and it's just so we get this like sort of like drawing art, but which is like amazing for considering what it is. And Bruce is like, oh yeah, I don't know. Then we had Action Comics 1085. So when I first saw this, it's like, this takes place before Absolute Power and all this. I was like, oh man. So when that happens, it's like such a turn off for me, because it's basically like, okay, this is a flashback story. There could be some cool things that happen, but really what you're saying is that there is nothing that's going to happen in this that is going to change things that we have seen from between then and now. It's not like all of a sudden there's going to be some big new revelation, because we would have heard about it. You can't drastically change anything that hasn't been said since whenever this takes place. So like if this is like Absolute Power, nothing between Absolute Power and now, you can't do anything majorly drastic. So it's like, why am I reading this if there's going to be like no big, huge, change? The answer is because it's going to be an entertaining story. That could be. So as I was reading this, I was like, when I saw that, I was like, ugh. But I was like, it's G. Willow Wilson, and I have respect for her. I like her writing, even though I feel bad that I'm not reading Harley Quinn, because I thought it was going to be a miniseries, and I just got so far behind. And I was like, I'll check it out. And I loved her Ms. Marvel stuff, and it seemed fun. Perry, but then it's like Perry White's still editor. Like, holy crap! Like, how long ago is this taking place? Lois isn't even the editor in chief. She's supposed to be writing, going to some like science thing in the Arctic, but then Perry's like, there's a heat wave and I need you to talk to the city officials because only you can get them to. It's like, so he wants her to talk to city officials about the heat wave and whatever something. So then she's like, well, let's send Clark to the other thing, and Perry's like not super excited. So Clark goes there, and then some stuff starts happening there. And I was like, okay, this could kind of be interesting, all that. But then, spoiler, who's the main villain here? Friggin' Kilgore. Kill %sign Gore, wherever his name, there's a % in his name. And I was like, I do not care about Kilgore. I don't even remember what his backstory is, because I just don't, that's how much I don't care. I'm trying to wipe him from my memory. That I don't care what his deal is. And then he's here. So I'm like, oh man. So what that probably means is as much as I was like, well, I can't just skip the next issue because maybe something will happen, but how? And it's friggin' Kilgore. So I don't know. But spoiler, if you like Kilgore, check this out. Aquaman #4. I only read the first issue, and there's nothing. I missed the second issue. I forgot to read it, or something happened. So it's not like I didn't like the first issue, but then it's like, oh wait, issue 3 came out. I was like, oh, I can't read issue 3 because I had to read 2. But then now issue 4. So I have no idea what's going on here. But that's all I read, because then there was Batman Dark Patterns #5, which I'm curious about this because it's Dan Waters. Maybe I'll check that out when I'm assuming it's a miniseries. I don't know. If you've been reading Dark Patterns, please let me know if I'm missing out on something, special here. See what, it's Fire and Ice, When Hell Freezes Over. I don't know if that's a collection or if that's a one-shot or what that is. Creature Commandos also came out. And that is it. So that is comics for the week. Daredevil, Born Again, Season 1, Episode 8, Isle of Joy. This was Oh man, there's some things that kind of made me a little angry with this episode, and it's supposed to, I'm assuming, but yeah, and it's interesting. I don't know what. Obviously, Matt is dealing with some. He's going through a lot, and we're seeing that. We're probably going to see some fallout. And like one of the things he says in here, I think he says to Sherry, he's like, the genie's out of the bottle, and he is. I mean, I think it's safe to say that Matt Murdock has anger issues because he gets pretty violent, but he's been trying to lock this all away. He put things to rest. On losing his best friend, he's like, okay, I'm not going to do this anymore. And he's been doing his best to live, just being a lawyer and helping people out and everything like that. I guess it must be hard knowing that Wilson Fisk is a piece of scumbag. And yeah, so things are getting out of hand. And so one of the things I was like, it was pretty clear in the first episode, or when he had that conversation with Wilson Fisk, it's like it was pretty clear that Fisk knows Matt Murdock as Daredevil. And again, I forget what happened in a Netflix Daredevil if that came out. It's probably like so obvious, right? But yeah. But then when the other episode, when Fisk is like, he's back, and I was like, it's like, but dude, you know who he is. You have this anti-vigilante task force. If you know who he is, why don't you send them after Matt Murdock? You can expose him. You can tell the world. You're the mayor. You can, whatever. Or is it because he thinks that Matt Murdock is too smart for that? That he's like, if they attack his. Bust down the door and search his apartment, there's probably going to be nothing Daredevil there. And then it's going to make him look bad. And it's like, he is blind. How do you prove he has special powers? There's no way to prove that. And so I think it's a matter of Fisk is just nothing that he can do, even though he knows. Like, how do you prove it? He's got no actual tangible proof. So let's get started. Like this, it was weird. This dude picks like a blue rose at the prison yard. There's something I saw something about like Poindexter and blue. There's some connection. Maybe I just don't know what it is. But he's staring out the windows. This guard comes to move him. There's like several armed guards and like armored guards, and he's like, "Where are we going?" And he's like, I'm ESH, which Enhanced Supervision Housing or something like that. He's like, I'm not supposed to be here. So other officers like, welcome to your new digs. And he's like, I'm supposed to be, and then they like shove him through like, the cell doors, and they're like, welcome to Gen Pop, Agent Poindexter. And there's like all these inmates just like staring at him, like, they're about to like pounce on him. And he's still like, his arms are like bound, I think. You would think, are they gonna like pile on him? It doesn't really seem like they do. I don't know, or maybe he just held his own, I don't know. And it's like, why is he being moved? We find out. So Fisk and Vanessa are walking by the docks or whatever, and he says that funding for his Red Hook project is happening through like public and private means. She congratulates him, says that he deserves to be happy. Why does he deserve to be happy? He is like an utter piece of crap. He's a baby. Oh, boo-hoo! You had a horrible childhood. Yeah, that sucks. But you suck, man. He deserves to be happy. He says that he knows he hasn't acknowledged all she's done and built for them. But she says, she understands that's why it's hard to understand why he would throw it all away. Like I guess his empire, or whatever. He says like transform, not thrown away. And then they mention how she handled Luca and how that was great. She says that he was a punk, playing for the throne. And it was like painful to watch. So I guess that's why they had to do it. But the fact that she killed him, so it's like, okay, you are a murderer too. He says that's why he brought her here. And then they enter a building. So it's like, what is he taking? Where is he taking her? Matt tells Heather that Madison called an all hands meeting at the office. At first I was like, who's Madison? Madison's a client and is a dude. So she's on her laptop. Like, she shakes her head, and she's like, I killed him, Matt. And she's like, do you have any idea what that felt like? And he's like, yeah, I can only imagine. And she's like, I think I'm finally starting to understand how that violence, it just transfers from Daredevil to Muse to me. And Matt's like, not sure you can put Muse and Daredevil in the same category. And she's like, not so sure you can't. It's like, they're just these underdeveloped boys hiding behind masks, trying to make it look like something more sophisticated. And this is where I start getting annoyed with Heather. So she's saying that the whole thing with the mask is like, Captain America wore a mask. Spider-Man wears a mask, but he's not like overly violent. He is a hero. And all these characters, they exist in the same world. I'm trying to think like who else is masked in the MCU, but it's just annoying. So he's like, it's a pretty dark view. He's like, I mean, I think they're completely different animals. And she's like, you weren't there, Matt. He was. And he's like, no, I know. I'm just saying that Muse tried to kill you and Daredevil saved you. And then this is so stupid. She's like, I saved me. It's like they were both out there for themselves. So I guess she also stopped the bleeding in her arm as well. That because when they're like, oh, her wounds have been whatever, the bleeding's been stopped or something like that. So she would have been dead if he didn't bust through the window and was like started fighting with Muse. She would have been dead. There's no way she saved herself. She shot Muse, but if Daredevil didn't come in there, she would be dead. There was no way that she had no way to stop him. And it's just so incredibly annoying. And I really do not like her character now. Cannot stand her. She's just so annoying, and I hate that. And it gets worse. So there's a knock on the door, and Matt, he kind of goes cold for a second. He's like, I'll get it. And your morning, Mr. Murdoch. Is Dr. Glenn here? It's Buck. So it's like, why is he there? Fisk and Vanessa go down some stairs. He took her to see Adam, the little like prison place that he has him locked up. And Adam like weakly calls her name. He's like, this is so fudging crazy. And she's kind of surprised. He's like, please tell your husband. I'm sorry, I didn't know. And Fisk is like, stop talking. He's like, I promised you I wouldn't kill him. I kept my promise. And he's like, I shouldn't be here. I didn't know. And Vanessa's like, he's not part of us. And he's like, she's right. Both of you, please. I swear to God. Shut up. And he's like, I can't. I'm sorry. I hear his voice. I see his hands. It's unbearable. So basically, whiny, poor little Kingpin, poor little Wilson Fisk, his wife, like, you left her, and then she found someone else. And he can't handle it because I can't stand Kingpin either. Heather asks Buck like what he's doing there, and he hands her like an envelope. Says the mayor wanted him to deliver this to her personally. He's like, along with his deepest admiration for her strength and courage in facing that madman Muse. And he's like, she's a municipal treasure, were his exact words. And Matt's like, hold on a second. How did you or Mayor Fisk know she was staying here? And then Buck's like, the mayor cares deeply about the city and its citizens. Have a good day, counselor. So that mean that he's like super creepy. He's like stalking his citizens. Matt like closes the door. Heather walks back to the living room and like she doesn't even care. And Matt stands at the door. He's like, Heather, how do you know that man? So Vanessa asks, she's like, why would you keep all this from me? And Fisk is like, I am better than I was. I am. And if I cannot be with you, Vanessa, I cannot be. Adam starts like, please, just let me go. And Vanessa like looks at the key that's like on a table. So Matt's like, Heather, I'm serious. How do you know him? She's like, do you want to watch your tone? But it's like, okay, there's no tone there. He asked her, how do you know this man? And she just completely ignores him. So he asks her again. And so, can you watch your tone? He's like, please, just tell me. She's like, I can't say. It's a work thing. And he's like, please don't tell me that Fisk is a client. She's like, I'm not going to answer that, Matt. He's like, no, you don't understand, all right? If he is in your life, he is in our life, and that's not good. She's like, he's the mayor. He's in everybody's life. It's like, is he really? I can't remember. Do you know the mayor of my town? He's not in my life, and I'm not in his. There's no relevance, and that is just ridiculous. It's like, I don't know. They make the mayor out to be like this huge thing, There was never any mention. Who was the mayor before Fisk? I'm sure they mentioned it because when they were running for election. But in all the other Marvel stuff, there was never any mention of the mayor. Okay. So then Adam's like, please, Vanessa. He's like, I won't say anything. I'll just leave. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. And she's like, no, you didn't. But then Heather reads invitation. Mayor Fisk and the First Lady cordially request your presence at the inaugural black and white ball benefiting the Red Hook Port Revitalization Project. Matt just smirks, and she's like, wow, black tie. He's like, you're not seriously considering going, are you? She's like, I mean, why wouldn't I? He's like, because he's trying to co-opt your story. He wants to use your trauma to boost his narrative. And she's like, if his narrative is that vigilantes are dangerous, then he's got my vote. And this is the other thing I don't understand. How are vigilantes dangerous? There is a difference between a vigilante and a villain. Muse is not a vigilante. I mean, do you call him a vigilante? No, he is a masked villain. He is a masked lunatic or psychopath or whatever. The vigilantes like White Tiger and Daredevil or whoever you want to say, they are helping people. And to put them in the same category, that's just, I don't understand. But he's like, Heather, you must see that he's trying to use you. And the other thing that, which gets me, and I don't know like how much they've told each other about their past, but Matt Murdock has obviously had interactions with Wilson Fisk. He's had interactions with him as Daredevil, and that he's not sharing with Heather. But I'm sure there's got to be some Matt Murdock stuff that he could tell her. There are some stuff that he knows, but she just doesn't want, she just doesn't care. So Vanessa says she's sorry, but then, and so it keeps like going back and forth. Heather's like, well, why don't you come with me then? Protect me from being co-opted. So she's just such a garbage attitude. She's just being just so nasty. And Matt like chuckles softly. He's like, yeah, I don't think that's a good idea. And he grabs his briefcase to head out because he has to go to work. He's like, besides, I wasn't invited. And then she reads, to Dr. Heather Glenn and guest. So he paused at the door. He's like, yeah, okay, great. So Adam's begging, please, Vanessa. And then she shoots him 3 times. He falls back on a cot. She shoots him, in the head, headshot. And Fisk takes the gun from her, sets it down, and he takes her in his arm. I promise I won't ever leave you again. And she's like, I know. So again, Vanessa is a murderer, which I think I said that earlier. But yeah, great. The perfect couple, right? Matt arrives at the office. Kirsten's like, you're late. He's like, fashionably. And she's like, 10 minutes is fashionable. 35 is just not cool. And he's, okay, things happen. It's the city. I'm sure people are late. So he's like, I'm here. What's going on? And she's like, oh, you're good? And she lifts his glasses. She's like, looks like you just got out of some North Jersey fight club. He's like, I'm good. And he's like, why is Madison calling a panic meeting? And she's like, Creedy, Gloflin, and McKagan are stonewalling on the finances. So I don't really know what this case is about, if this was mentioned before. But Matt's like, as in corporate documents that belong to our client? And she's like, mm-hmm. And she's like, they're saying that all appeal filings are as much in their purview as the client's. And since we engage in litigation, Matt's like, no. And she's like, they're under no legal obligation to furnish them. Matt's like, that doesn't sound like the position of an innocent party, does it? So I'm not really sure what this means, like who's not innocent. And she's like, no. It seems your poison counsel approach might actually have some legs. And he's like, is he here? And she's like, yeah. And she's like, hold on, there's something else. And she's like, Poindexter. And Matt's like, what about him? She's like, I just got a call from one of my former colleagues at the Southern District. He was moved from protective custody 2 days ago and released into Gen Pop. So Matt chuckles. He's like, great. He's like, any chance we can get a front row seat? And she's like, the reason my friend called is that Poindexter wants to talk with you. And Matt's like, with me? Why? She's like, I have no idea, and I don't care. Neither should you. He's like, Kirsten, do we know who moved him? She's like, I knew you were going to ask me that. And he's like, tell me. And she's like, Mayor Fisk. So he just like sits there frozen while Kirsten's like, come on, because they have to go meet with this Madison dude. Sheila talks to Fisk and says that, so the 3 of them are there. So Buck and Daniel are there. It's like, while they enjoy an unscheduled meeting with him, they're due at their morning press segment. He's like, cancel it. Today is not the day for public relations and kissing dogs in jackets in Brooklyn. Today we take stock in our victories. The task force is a success. It's like, no, it's not. But it was like the dogs and jacket. Daniel's like, was that on the schedule? Buck's like, I'm not sure you've seen the latest numbers, but vigilante crime is down 30% since the task force deployed. And Sheila's like, and the ACLU is filing 13 different lawsuits over their excessive methods. And he's like, let them excessive methods work. He's like, such an idiot. And Buck's like, not to mention the avalanche of favorable publicity. And then to Daniel, he's like, looks like your conversation with BB Urch was obviously fruitful, Daniel. And he's like, just doing what I can, sir. He's like, I know you are. I think you could do more, a lot more, as deputy mayor for communications. He's like, no way. And Sheila stands up. She's like, excuse me, sir. Him? He's like, now work closely with the city council. Make sure they turn a listening ear to our agenda. And Sheila's like, sir, if I may say so, and I'm so sorry, Daniel, but I do believe he'll be in way over his head with the council. And he's like, I do mind you saying, Daniel's the future of the city. Why would we stand in the way of it? It's like, he's like, I swear I won't let you down. And he's like, Sheila, Vanessa checked. This is actually, and he's talking about the desk, because he had asked her about the desk before. So it's Fiorella LaGuardia's desk or something like that. And it's like, okay. But Daniel is, this guy, he's got like, I don't think has any credentials. Whatever. At Murdoch's office, the client dude, Mr. Madison, whatever, he has his feet up on the table. He's on his phone. He says that he thinks that he should take the stand. And Kirsten's like, we hardly recommend against it. He's like, well, I don't know, you two, black lady, blind dude, I like the optics. I'm just saying, I should be seen. He's like, my voice should be heard. And Matt's like, and what exactly is that voice saying? He's like, that I had no clue, man, none at all. No idea those funds were being commingled. So this whole thing is not my fault. Matt's like listening to his heartbeat. It's kind of rapid. He's like, say that again. And the guy whispers like, is he serious? He's like, oh, I'm serious. So then Madison sits up, puts his phone down. He's like, my mother was a teacher. My grandmother was a teacher. My girlfriend's a teacher. I love teacher. Matt kind of like scoffs slightly. He's like, there's no way I would knowingly defraud. And Matt's like, BS. Kirsten's like, Matt. He's like, Mr. Madison, you do whatever the hell you want to in this world, all right? You go with grace. You find your way. I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to defend you. And we at Murdoch and McDuffie, we have a lot of approaches to that defense, but one thing we do not do is subordination of perjury. He's like, that's so many words. I don't know what you're saying. He's like, it means it is against the law for my partner and I to put a client on the stand when we know they're lying. And you, my friend, are lying with every breath that you take. And he like unfolds his cane. He's like, why don't you let us know when you want to make a plea deal? So he like leaves the conference room. Kristen goes after him. He's like, I told you taking him as a client was a bad idea. She's like, yes, but we took him, so we owe him a defense. It's like, what's going on with you? He's like, call it an attack of conscience. She's like, that was fudging malpractice. He's like, all right, fine, Kristen. You want me to go back there and apologize to him? She's like, no, I don't. I want to know what's going on. Is it the Poindexter thing? And he like sighs. He's like, should I not have told you about that? You're late to meetings. You're insulting our client. He's like, geez, I mean, I barely recognize you. What's going on? He's like, we put Poindexter away and it changes nothing. All right. We defend Hector Ayala and he is still murdered, probably by the same cops who are out there assaulting citizens, by the way. All right. Leroy Bradford goes away for eating a box of caramel corn. Heather's assaulted by Muse and she thinks Fisk is right. And now this a-hole, this privileged sociopath can get away with ripping off teachers. We're not serving justice here, We're babysitting chaos. Like this, us, what we do, it feels useless. And she's like, I get it. I really get it. It's a lot. You've been through a lot, but this can't happen this way. He's like, I know, I'm sorry. I have to go. So then he's standing outside Josie's bar, like the windows are boarded up and, it's just light rain. He's under an umbrella. Then the door opens. She's like, you going to stand out there like a hobo, Matt, or are you going to come in and have a drink? So he goes in. Says she hasn't seen him since, and he's like, the funeral. So she pours shots, and they make a toast, and he's like, I guess it's a good thing I can't see the place. She's like, I've been thinking about reopening, but I'm not sure the neighborhood even wants it. So it's like, it's been a year, and she's been paying rent and not having it open. But she's like, the mayor's office has offered loans, but I'll be damned if I take a penny from that man. And then the door opens without looking. He's like, Cherry, how'd you track me down? He's like, Kirsten called, asked me to keep tabs on you. It's like, I'm worried about you too. So Joey goes in the back room to leave them to talk. And Matt's like, I guess you could say the genie's out of the bottle. So he's like, and Cherry says that, his timing's off. Fisk is making a name for himself, hunting vigilantes. He'd love to get his head up on a spike. Matt asks if he knew that Fisk moved Poindexter to general population. And he's like, now that's a death sentence. And Matt's like, we missed something. Fisk, Poindexter, it's all connected. It has to be. Cherry's like, we've been through this. We dug, the DA dug. You have to accept it. Poindexter's just trying to settle no score. And Matt's like, no. And Cherry's like, no, with Foggy and Karen and you. And Matt's like, I'm telling you, there's more to it than that. I know it. And Cherry's like, from where I sit, you look like a guy who's blowing up his life. And he's like, yeah, you might be right. So Cherry's like, so what do you need? More pain? And Josie comes out with another bottle, says that since they're all there, they might as well make it official. And Cherry's like, none for me, quit. And she's like, oh, good for you. And Matt's like, what do you mean? And she sighs. She's like, because it's a bottle of Old Melvinese. She's like, Foggy never finished his final round. And Matt's like, yeah, but he wasn't drinking Old Melvinese. And she's like, yeah, fitting, because he was the last customer to order. And Matt's like, no, Josie, I think you're wrong about that. She's like, how many oceans of Irish do you think I serve here? I know what my people drink. And Matt's like thinking back. Foggy and Kirsten were sitting at the bar. So it's like, wait, did he actually order it? And then Matt's like, he was celebrating early. Foggy knew the night he died. He knew he was going to win. His case with Dumb Benny, he knew he was going to win, and somebody silenced him. He's like, I got to go. She's like, he didn't use his cane. And Cherry's like, oh, I didn't notice. So Poindexter's brought to like the visitor interrogation room, whatever. His arms are bound and he's handcuffed to the table. So the officer asks Matt if he's familiar with the safety procedure, whatever. He leaves. And Poindexter's like, I didn't think he'd show. I respect that. And Matt's like, you shut your mouth. He's like, I don't want your respect. He's like, why does Fisk want you dead? Did he hire you to kill Foggy Nelson? And Poindexter scoffs. He's like, do you hear that outside? He's like, that's the roar of the jungle, counselor. Is that what I am to you? An animal? One of them? Is that what this is about, right? Who's a predator and who's a prey? He's like, I have questions too. And Matt's like, everyone thought you were just a shooter on a rampage, didn't they? Yeah? Settling scores, getting vengeance, but that wasn't it, was it? You did it for someone, huh? You did it for Fisk, didn't you? And Poindexter's like, another night in here? I might never be able to answer that for you. And Matt's like, oh, sweetheart, what do you want me to do? You want me to get you out? You want me to file an appeal? He's going to call him sweetheart. And Poindexter's like, in another life, you might be defending me, because that's what good men do, right? Defend their worst enemies. And Matt grabs his cane and heads for the door. And then Poindexter's like, I'm bargaining for my life here, counselor. It's like, you want to know if Fisk hired me? And Matt grabs him by the hair, pulls his head back, which is like kind of weird. And he keeps talking. He's like, I can tell you, but I need to be outside. And Matt's like, I don't trust you for a second. And he's like, I'm not lying. And then bam, 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 bashes his face against the table 3 times. And then it's like, what are you thinking? And then Matt's like, hey, guard. He started banging his face against the table. So he started taking him away. Poindexter smiles. His face is bloody. He's like, thank you, counselor. And Matt's like, fudge you. Matt. So he's losing it. Black and white ball. Sheila and Daniel see each other. She compliments him on his tux. Then she mentions what she said earlier. She's like, it's not that I'm against you being deputy mayor. I just think it's premature. And then he's like, when I first started, I was worried that we wouldn't be on the same side. I'm not worried anymore. So I think he's basically saying that he knows that he's on Fisk's good side, so he doesn't have to worry about what she thinks anymore. But, she totally has a point. He has 0 experience. What did he do? He managed to get a bunch of signatures. And he goes out and drinks and does drugs and leaks information out to reporters. So he excuses himself because he sees Bibi. He goes up to her and, he's like, hey. And she's like, hey. And she's like, we're not exactly cool right now. He's like, I pushed pretty hard on a task force thing. All right, too hard. But it's a gig. And it got me deputy mayor communications. And there's a slight gasp. She's like, holy spit. And he's like, yeah, look, BB, I don't know why and I don't know how, but somehow I'm on the inside of this thing. And as long as I'm in, I'm going to run like hell until somebody tells me to stop. Look at us. How dope is this place? And then we see Jack, the swordsman, and he goes up to a snotty rich lady. I think her name is Artemis. He says that he's surprised to see her here, giving her feeling towards our mayor because she went off on him before a couple episodes ago. And she says that she thought it's best not to offend him. And he asks, he's like, where's your better half, Arthur? And she's like, well, I don't know. And she's like, do you? And he's like, excuse me? He's like, Artemis, is everything all right? And she chuckles and she says, never mind her. And she excuses herself. So obviously something's going on because she basically told Fisk that she wanted nothing to do with him. And then now she's there and then she doesn't know where her husband's at. So obviously there's something going on. Heather tries calling Matt, gets his answer machine again. And she's like, it's me again. It's like, if you weren't going to come, I get it, but you could have at least given me a heads up. So she's already there. Fisk and First Lady are announced. She's wearing a red gown and he's just wearing an all white suit with like a white tie. So I guess neither one of them are wearing any black, even though it's a black and white ball. So and then there's all this. Is this really necessary? It's like, it's such an absolute ego fest. It's like announcing them. It's like this whole thing. And again, do people, it's like he's a mayor. It's not like he's a celebrity. Is he? I mean, do they really make that big of a deal about it? I don't know. Poindexter's getting stitched up in like the med whatever hospital at the prison. But then he's doing something with his mouth. It's like, wait, did he knock out a tooth? The doctor tells the guard he's finished. The guard comes, kneels down, like cuff him up, and then Poindexter smiles. He shows that he has a tooth between his teeth, and then he spits a tooth into like the guard's eye. He goes down. Then Poindexter works on taking off the other bindings. He grabs a couple scissors from tray, throws them at a couple people off camera. So the doctor and another guard, and you see them lying there. So thanks to Matt Murdock, he got out and killed 3 people. Vanessa goes up to Heather. She says that she's so glad she came. Heather mentions this place is amazing. And Vanessa's like, yeah, rich people posturing. She's like, the champagne is good, though. And she asks Heather if she's alone. And Heather says that she wasn't supposed to be. And I don't get this. And she's like, well, then we can fix that in a heartbeat. And it sounds like we should. Come. And Heather actually goes with her. So it's like, what, is she going to try to hook her up with someone else? But it's weird because I guess, she and Matt, and you would think Matt would have say something about how corrupt Fisk and Vanessa were, whatever, because they must have had, he must have some information as a lawyer and not just as Daredevil. But at the prison, guards are getting on a bus, they get scanned or something like that. They don't show the last dude. We know who it is, right? And then this other guard looks at him, he's like, oh, rough day, huh? And then Poindexter just like smile and nods. And then, so just like that, he's getting out. So he took one of the guards' outfit, his badge, he's getting on the bus out of there. Vanessa says that she wants to thank Heather for how much she's helped her husband and her, and Heather says she looks forward to continuing their work. So even though she knows Matt is against it, she's still pushing for it. But Vanessa's like, yes, well, I think we've worked it out. Sins of the past are dead and buried for both of us. Literally, huh? And Heather's like, oh, I'm glad to hear it. And then Vanessa's like, well, enjoy the evening. And she's like, you too. Then Matt arrives. He walks in with no problem. No one's like, hey, where's your invitation or whatever. I guess it doesn't matter. He listens for Fisk and like heads his way. So they kind of make eye contact, sort of, whatever. And then Heather calls his name. And poor baby looks upset. And Matt smiles. He's like, turns out you're not the only one wearing Chanel No. 5. And she kind of forces a chuckle. He's like, am I late? And she's like, late? I didn't even know you were coming. I texted, called, more than once, by the way. It's like so snotty. It's like, oh, he's working. You ever think that maybe he was in meetings all day and he couldn't answer? Or maybe his battery died, or maybe who knows what. It's like so many things. And he's like, yeah, I had to surrender my phone. Oh, I went to Rikers. Ben Poindexter wanted to meet me. And she's like, what were you thinking, Matt? Him? And he's like, I know. Yet she's okay with associating with Fisk. And whatever. He's like, yeah, it's hard to. And she's like, you know what? I don't care. It's fine. It's none of my business. And it's like, okay, this is the guy that killed his best friend, and she's saying it's none of her business. That your boyfriend. So it's like real nice. And he's like, I'm sorry, I apologize. And she's like, Matt, you've been checking out on me, disappearing physically and emotionally. So, it's all about her. Then while she's going on this rant, Matt's listening as Jack is talking to Fisk. So he thanks him for an invitation. And Fisk says that he'd like to talk in private. And she's like, oh my God, you're not even listening to me, are you? He's like, yes, I am. And then like a baby, what'd I say? And we don't hear what he says, because then Jack says that he's glad that they got a chance to talk. He thinks that they may have gotten off on the wrong foot at the fundraiser, a while ago. He underestimated his tenacity in pushing the Red Hook project through. And Fisk says that that's one way to put it. He's like, more like snide or condescending, even rude. And Fisk talks about like the key to the project being matching public funds and private investors. So he's like, how much could I count on you for? And Jack like chuckles. He's like, excuse me? He's like, I have no interest, right? And he's like, before you continue and embarrass either of us, you are aware of of the rumors that surround you. Should I call you Swordsman, the vigilante? And Jack chuckles softly. He sets his drink down, stands up. He's like, even if I knew what you were talking about, that sort of thing would be an isolated incident. And Fisk is like, yet still probable cause for a visit for my task force. And Jack like scoffs. He's like, is that a threat? No, of course not. It's merely a warning. So it's like, Fisk is on the floor. They walk back out of the back room where apparently Matt still hasn't answered Heather. I don't know if he said anything because he's just still listening. Fisk tells Jack that he'll have his office contact Jack's CFO in the morning. And then some guy takes a couple pics of Fisk, like after, but it seemed like after Jack left. And Subi, like the flash goes off, like, psh, psh. So Fisk tells Powell, his little lapdog, to take care of him. Commissioner watches as Powell and another officer go, like, they hustle the guy into the back, like in the kitchen. A couple workers leave as they see him coming. Powell slams them against the wall. Then he's like, what is this? He's like, there's no pictures inside. But it's like, how could he tell? He's like, I don't know if it was on his phone, but it's like, was it still on? How do you know there's no pictures? Then he grabs his wallet. He's like, what's that? No fudging acting press inside either? So I don't know if he's just like saying stuff, like maybe he didn't really look in his phone or whatever. And then the guy's like, look, I know my rights. And Powell's like, oh yeah? Very good, me too. Let me read them to you. He grabs them, bring them like further back. He's like, you have the right to having a real hard time wiping your ass. And he's like, no. Then Gallo comes in. Officer Powell, you let that man go or I will charge you with assault. Because they were by like a deep fryer. And he's like, Commissioner, no, this isn't assault. And then he actually shoves his hand in the deep fryer. He's like, that was assault. And you're not going to charge me with poop. In case you haven't noticed, I don't answer to you anymore. And some other officers come in. So Gallo like isn't sure what to say because I think they're all like task force people. He's like, what the task force is doing is dereliction of duty. And Powell chuckles. He's like, go have a fudging canapé, Commissioner. And a reporter groans as like they like get him up. Daniel continues talking to BB that they watch as Fisk brings more people like into the back room. And he's like, that's power. They either want to be in that room or poop in their pants. They're going to be called into it. He's like, straight up boss power. And she's like, or total corruption. And he's like, why you do that? Every time I get stoked, you do that. And she's like, my uncle used to say that we should speak truth to power. Is that what you're doing? Is that what we're doing? He's like, I don't know, BB. I'll try not to be an a-hole. She's like, okay, that works for me. So he asks if they should dance. And then she sees someone. She's like, oh, I just need to use the ladies' room. But she actually goes after Gallo. And she introduces herself. And he says that he's like, I know who you are. And she's like, I just wanted to ask you if the mayor consulted you when he formed the anti-vigilante task force. And Gallo chuckles. He's like, you working tonight? She's like, I don't know. Are you? And he's like, I read your piece on a Muse killing. That's a hell of a bit of a spin, giving credit to the task force when everyone with half a brain knows it was Daredevil. When did you become Fisk's Minister of Propaganda? And she's like, right about the time you became head of his SS? It's like, I figure. And he's like, no. And he hesitates. He's like, no, that's not me. The task force is all him. He's like, how much do you know about our esteemed mayor? She's like, I would like to learn a lot more. He's like, yeah, don't be so sure. Do you know that Wilson Fisk was the main suspect in your uncle's murder? And she clicks her tongue. She's like, yeah, I did. Why do you think I'm here? Not everything I write is under my name. Do you know what I mean? He's like, I think I do. She's like, so if you ever want to put anything real out there, something that puts a dent in that prick's white armor, there's an email on this card. And like Cole's standing nearby, sees him talking. So is he going to say something to Fisk? Gallo's like, I have files on every crook with a badge that Fisk calls his task force. And she's like, I would really like to take a look at those, Commissioner. But then for some reason she turns when some, according to closed caption, upbeat R&B music plays. It's a Velvet Note, play that funky music. She's like, if you don't mind, I have to go back to work. So she means talking to Daniel is work, which is good, that she's doesn't actually want to be friends with him. She's using him. So she smiles and goes up to Daniel. He hands her a drink and they say cheers. So Heather, all this time, Heather is still going on. It's been like, what, 10 minutes, 15 minutes or something like that? And she's like, I don't know what's going on with you tonight. I know you've got issues with Mayor Fisk. And he's like, he's your client. And she's like, I'm not going to tell you that. He's like, I don't expect you to understand, but I need you to know. He sought you out to get to me, to keep tabs on me. And she's like, Matt, you're starting to worry me on a professional level. Why would he do that? He's like, well, you know what? Why don't we go find out? Come on. And she cuts him off. She's like, what are you going to do? Confront the mayor at his own party? He's like, maybe. She's like, that's acting out, Matt. He's like, and mental health is knowing when and where to do it. And she's like, oh, please, come on. But it's like, I can't wait for her to find out how incredibly wrong she is. So Fisk exits the room. I think it might be with Arthur, Artemis, that lady's husband. And he looks kind of sad or something like that. So Fisk's like, and don't forget your promise. And he looks like proud of himself because he's such a big friggin' bully. Matt and Heather are headed his way, and she's begging him not to do anything. And Vanessa sees him. Fisk sees him and puts his hand on Cole's chest. Like, is he caressing him or stopping him? He's like, what are you doing? And Matt tries pushing through the crowd, and then the spotlight comes on. And Vanessa comes up to him. Darling, it's time for us to take the first dance. What? What the heck kind of event is this? Is this normal? This is not a wedding. The mayor and his wife are going to do the first dance. What the heck is going on? So ridiculous. So they dance, and she's like, I'm leaving. And Matt's like, no, you're not. He's like, he's not going to let you, not now. And she's like, you're not making any sense. Matt's like, I told you, Heather, he is a monster. You are not safe. No one is safe until this is done, and I'm not running anymore. And she's like, you need to help me understand what's going on here. He's like, yeah, and I will, I promise. But first, you're going to have to lead. So he had folded up his cane, and Fisk is like laughing, and then Matt listens. And so now he's like talking to him, even though he's like across the room. He's like, what were you looking for, devil? And Heather's like, what's wrong? And he's like, told you there'd be consequences. And Matt says to Heather, he's like, if anything happens, you get out of here. Call Kristen, call Cherry, and make it as big a stink as you can. And she's like, about what? And Buck gets a call. So he's like, the call's like, you wanted updates? And he's like, please tell me he's dead. And they're like, it's a guard. He's like, no. And he's looking at the dead bodies in the medical room. He escaped. So Buck puts his phone away. In the kitchen, someone grabs this like big 2-pronged fork. No, not hard to figure out who it is. Elevator comes up to like the main dance floor, and Poindexter's inside with the fork. But then it goes up to the next level, like the balcony level. Buck goes up to Fisk and Vanessa, do all their dancing. He's like, Ben Poindexter killed a prison guard and used his badge to escape. I've already informed security. And he's like, thank you, Buck. Try not to draw too much attention. So, and it's like, but unfortunately, this is the problem I have. The one problem with this episode is, besides how annoying Heather and some people are, it's like, did Matt hear this? I don't think he heard this. But then Vanessa says to Fisk, she's like, I have something to tell you. And so it's like, now Matt is listening. So I don't think he heard that, what Buck said. And Fisk is like, no, not here, not now. So I guess he doesn't want Matt to hear, maybe. But Matt thinks, he figures it out. He's like, it was her. So maybe he heard what about Poindexter. And Heather's like, who? Matt grits his teeth and sighs. And he's like, he was away, and she was in charge. It was her. She did it. And Heather's like, what are you doing? And they bump into Fisk and Vanessa. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. Mind if I cut in? And he kind of laughs. And then she's like, what a pleasant surprise. And Vanessa says that. So Matt's like, I know it was you. I know you had Foggy killed. And she tries like pull away to get away, but he keeps his grip on her. And Fisk says to Heather's like, your boyfriend seems a little overly exercised this evening. And she's like, at first I was pissed off, but now I'm worried. This isn't like him. So you're telling the mayor this. You're telling whatever. And he's like, it's been said that keeping secrets can make us sick. And it's like, okay, yeah, you're one to talk. So Poindexter, meanwhile, is on the balcony. So he must have killed one of the officers up there because now he has a rifle and he's looking in the scope and he's like aiming. Matt says to Vanessa, like, you see, I know it was you. I just don't know why. And she's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. He's like, yes, you do. What about your husband? Does he know? Did he know you had Foggy killed? And then she's like, does Heather know you're Daredevil? So, she knows that too. Fisk is like, have you ever wondered why Mr. Murdoch has a thing for vigilantes, Doctor? So he's about to tell her. And Matt's like, you will pay for what you did. And she chuckles softly. It's like, you need to relax. Matt listens. He's listened to a lot of things. There's conversations, glasses tinkling. Here's a gun cock. Matt looks up. Stupidly, he dives in front of Fisk and gets hit, it looked like in the shoulder. And Heather's like, Matt! Buck yells, gun, balcony. Fisk is like holding up Matt. He's got blood on his front, but then he kind of like lets Matt fall to the floor. Doesn't like, he's just like real nice. Heather goes down to him. Fisk looks up in shock and horror. Poindexter calmly looks up instead of taking another shot. He's like, he could have shot him. Everyone's like running past Matt and Heather. The stupid task force, they're not doing anything besides just standing around with their guns out, like looking and like what, they don't know what's going on. Buck, he's pushing like Fisk and Vanessa, like trying to guide them out. He's got his gun, and then the screen kind of goes red as Matt like gasps on the floor, and it's like, wait, it's like, did he get shot in the shoulder? Did he get shot closer to his chest? And then it fades to black. So Daredevil died. Matt's dead. That's the end of the show. But I guess it's like what Poindexter says. He saved the man. That's what probably why he said it. So he could have let Fisk get shot, but he dove in front of the bullet. It's like, what are you thinking? And now that he's been shot, that means he's less able to do as much because he's got a bullet hole in him. And hopefully it's just like in his shoulder and not like in any vital organs or anything. Oh man, one episode left. All right, The Bondsman, season 1, episode 2, Valacor. And, I hesitate, I think it's like, should I go over this? Because I know I'm not going to go over the whole season, but I guess just to give you some insight, it is a show that is worth watching. So with this, I mentioned last week, the first episode kind of sets things up. So now we're kind of getting into the meat, the heart of what the show should be about. So it starts off last night. So it's like, it backs up a little bit. We see the pastor, he's combing his hair. There's a Christina Aguilera song playing. And then he's like, hallelujah, he checks out his reflection. So he's kind of into himself. He's not like your regular pastor. I don't know, who knows. And then the lights kind of flicker and shut off. He checks the breaker, turns it back on. Then there's like a flicker behind the mirror and it like startles him. Some candles like kind of start flickering red a little bit. He's checking out the church. There's more flickering, and then there's a demon with horns, like reflection in the mirror. He picks up a cross and he starts praying, the Lord is my shepherd and all that stuff. He grabs a handful of holy water and like flings it, and then some mirrors like kind of pop. And it's like, why are there so many mirrors in this church? And then the holy water in the little thing starts to boil. He continues praying. I walk through the valley, the shadow of death. He dips his hand in the water again. And it kind of like electrocutes him, and his eyes glow and kind of get like flamey. He screams and he like falls to the floor. Lights go out again, and then Pastor Ron, he gets up. His face is like stuck to the floor. It's like it kind of peels apart as he gets up off the floor, and it's like almost like half his face got like ripped off. So kind of gross. Then back at the place, Midge at their place, Midge asks Hub if he's officially refusing the position, and he tells Mom, he's like, it's BS. He's like, she's about to ask for your credit card and social security number. Then Midge chuckles. She's like, if you really think so, then I'll just need to get the verbal confirmation for corporate so I can start your paperwork. Then I want to send someone else right away. And of course, process your return. So she's holding out like a recorder. And he like looks at it and looks at her. Mom, Kitty, she cuts in saying, it's like, where's my manners? So she should get you something for the road. And she asks for a couple of minutes, and Midge just like pushes with Hub. And he stares at a recorder. He's like, how'd you take your coffee? And she turns off the recorder. She's like, hot. So Kitty says that she doesn't understand why her boy would be sent to hell. And she's like, that part you'll have to ask your son about. So, though a lot of people have trouble admitting it, in my experience, I just know what's on the intake form. What I can tell you is that we haven't had a jailbreak in the Southeast region since I started working for the company, which is longer than I care to admit. And Hub's like, a jailbreak? And she's like, imagine hell is a sort of prison, and sometimes inmates bust out. This time, one of them busted out here. Last time was in Pascagoula. She's like, the point is, if one got out, more might be coming. The warden wants them found and sent back. He's like, found them how? And she's like, the basics are in this manual here. And she's got like a pot of gold, almost like a phone book, like manual. And she's like, frankly, the company has updated since 73, so I'd go online if I were you. But I'm guessing you may have already had an encounter. And she's talking about that there's like 3 marks on his wrist. It's like, you get the gist. Demons can possess people and pass as human in our world. Since you came back from hell, you'll be able to see the demons and they'll get to know that you're a threat. So watch yourself. And Kitty's like, what do you mean, send them back? And she's like, kill them. And she chuckles. She's like, oh, technically, they're already dead. Well, at least a person that they used to be. Demons nowadays first kill their victim, then possess them. Helps them work around any kind of exorcism wrinkles. You just put one in the brain and you'll see. Hopefully, for all of us. Kitty says that she can't concede that Hub is not perfect. Anybody can see his flaws, but hell? And he's like, exactly. He's like, thank you. She's like, everybody has flaws. And Midge is like, look, he was dead. The boss tapped him to come back. And now that is the only reason that he's standing here now and not wailing and gnashing his teeth next to the lake of fire. It's like, I don't know what else to tell you. Kitty asks if there's some way out, at the end of his assignment. And Midge is like a get out of jail free card? And she's like, mm-hmm. She's like, this is his get out of jail free card. But it doesn't last forever. When it's over, and she points down. So he's like, how long do I have? And she's like, well, it depends on how many demons get loose. But I'd plan to be busy. Now, the real issue is how good you are at sending them back. Because if you fail to process any demons assigned to you, you'll be terminated immediately. So my advice is just make the most of it. I have found that it is the employees that can find the silver lining in all of this that have the best experience. And he's like, what silver lining? And she's like, well, that's up to you. Anyways, thank you for the coffee. It was delicious. And quietly to Hub, she's like, I like your mom. And she gets in her car. Kitty asks, how did he get in touch with her? And Mitch's like, you don't. And she drives off. And he's like, what a crock. And he says that he'll be out back. So Lucky, meanwhile, drives over to the Earl's brother's cabin. He's rehearsing a speech, but then breaking their deal. But then he gets mad and calls them inbred hillbillies because he doesn't know what to say, and he knows something's up. He has it's weird because he has a bag of rolled bills in the next to him in a seat. He puts a silencer in a gun. He gets out of the truck, walks in. There's flies buzzing around. He sees the place is trashed. There's dead bodies. Actually mutilated bodies. He sees several limbs, twisted bodies, pools of blood, cash lying about. He sees keys on the floor for I guess a pastor's car. He drives away with it. And it's I don't know if he left the money in his truck or maybe we just didn't see him grab it. But he passes Tater's car, he stops and he backs up. And there's muffling and banging. Tater's still in the back. So Lucky tears off the duct tape and he's like, it was Hub Halloran. And then Lucky looks back towards the cabin, so he probably thinks that Hub did all that carnage. So Hub is using a wood chopper thing, to dig out this stump, and Kitty calls out to him several times because he has headphones on, he can't hear. So she's like, we need to talk. And she shuts off the machine. She's like, that stump's been there dang a decade. He's like, it can wait. She's like, tell me the truth and don't lie or I'll know. She's like, did you die? He's like, yeah, I think maybe I did. And she's like, how? He's like, Lucky Callahan. And she's like, well, then how come he's not the one that got tapped for hell? He's like, I expect it's because nobody sent him there yet, but I sure as poop plan to. She's like, I was afraid of that, but we're going to deal with that man later. He tries starting a machine gun. She's like, hey, did you or did you not see that? A demon? He's like, well, I don't know about a demon, but yeah, I did. She's like, well, then what are you out here being a stick in the mud for? He's like, Mama, if I squint, sure, I can see the first part of what she's selling. Dying and coming back, fine. But it's a whole bounty hunter for the devil bit that I don't like. And she's like, well, nobody asked if you like it. The question is, what are you fixing to do about it? Because I heard terminated immediately. So the consequences of dilly-dallying here are steep. And you sure as poop ain't going to find no answers digging in my backyard. Or demons, if it comes to that. She goes inside. So Kitty prints out the assignment on the fax machines. It's Valacor is the assignment name. And Hub's like, type of demon, He's like, plus a location, longitude, latitude. It's like, I'm guessing that's where it made its jailbreak. So Kitty searches and gash. It's like Landry Methodist Church. She's like, Hub, that's my church. He's like, now, Mama, don't have kittens yet. You're right about the stakes. So I'm going to check this out. I'm not signing up for the whole lifetime supply of Mary Kay yet, but I'm going to find out what's going on. Make sure that nobody gets hurt. And she's like, well, that's more like it. Let's go. He's like, I really think you should stay here. She's like, absolutely not. She says that it's the church and pastor and their town that's in danger, so they need to let them know now. He says if she's coming, she has to wait in the car. He's like, say it. Come on. She's like, I promise. He's like, and second, before we do anything, I need to tell you something about your pastor. So they drive to the church. She asks if he's sure, like 100% sure. And he's like, yep, I'm sure. And she says, because she did hear rumors about a drinking problem. And she's like, he wasn't drunk, Ma. Made a guy levitate right in front of me. She's like, I hope he's feeling better this morning. He's like, wait in the car. So he walks up, no weapons, enters the church, has a flashlight, it's dark inside, sees a cracked mirror, sees a shadow behind him. He spins around and curses, it's Mama. She's like, you promise. She's like, I know. But then I thought, this is hallowed ground. We're safe. She's like, right? And she's like, Ron. She's like, it's Kitty Halloran. They see this display thing of the pastor on the stand. His eyes are burnt out. It's like a poster sort of. Kitty groans and asks, like, what's that smell? And she gasps and she sees like across on the floor, there's blood and half the pastor's face stuck to the floor. It's like, is that his face? And he's like, well, it ain't pizza. Outside, she's like, this means that it's all true, right? He's like, starting to look that way. She's like, I mean, all of it. You, lucky, hell, the whole deal. He's like, yep. And she's like, and God? He's like, maybe. She's like, oh, Hub. He's like, does add a point to your argument. I'll give you that. And she's like, oh, please, you know it now. He's like, what I do know is that I'm going to go hunt down a demon pastor that kicked my mama out of church. I want Marianne and Kate out of here. So she goes talk to Marianne at the club. She says she's kind of busy because they're short staffed since Cheryl went missing. I think Cheryl was on the missing signs in the first episode, so something happened to her. She's working on her pool table, like the ball release or something like that. He hands her the signed permission thing to take the kid out of state, and he says that he changed his mind. He wants them to go to Nashville. They can even go early, show them around a bit. And she's like, wow, this is a first. And he says, or she says, thank you. And he says, maybe she could take him to this one place for a slice of key lime for like old time's sake. And she's like, you have cancer, don't you? He's like, what? No, I'm just trying to do something nice here. Then Lucky comes in asking if she's done at the pool table yet. He stops short when he sees Hub. Tater's with him. Marianne tells Lucky that he signed a form so they're good for Nashville. And Hub's like, yeah, y'all have a great trip. And Lucky's like, I'll catch you later. So, and he stuck something into Lucky's front jacket. It's like 2-for-1 coupon for the Sizzler. It's like, okay. Back home at the office section, Kitty's looking through a Bible and finds an old flyer from 1998 for Hub Halloran and Marianne Dice live at the Boxcar. So they used to play together, I guess. Hub asks her, Berta McKee still works at the Georgia Power. And she's like, last time she spoke to her, and Hub said that last night at Earl's, when a demon came near, the lights started going crazy, and a fuse box on at the church, like all messed up. She's like, son, why'd you get sent to hell? She's like, I've been too afraid to ask, but now I got to know. And he's like, absolutely no idea. And she's like, Hub? And he's like, it was a mistake, Ma. She's like, but I think there may be a way to fix it, a loophole. Maybe there's always a loophole. And she's like, was I a bad mother? He's like, what? No. And she's like, that was supposed to be my job, keep you on the path, and I failed. And she goes off crying. So Hub knocks on the bathroom door and says, Berta said that they've been getting calls about power surges up at Jessup Pines Recycling Center. So he thinks that maybe wherever this thing goes, it spikes the power. And she says that they can't kill him. Ron's still a man of God, no matter what happened to him. She won't do it. And she says, to promise her. But it's like, doesn't that mean that he'll fail the mission if he doesn't kill the demon? Because the only way, yeah. He starts grabbing weapons, axe, machete, shotgun, bear trap. It's like, what? He uncovers the truck that had like a tarp over it. It's like, how many vehicles do they have? Mama comes out wearing a vest, and she says that she won't sit at home wondering if her son's been killed again. He's like, it's not like they're, running down a drunk. This is dangerous. So, no. She's like, he was my pastor. And he's like, and now he's possessed by a demon. She's like, I will not fail him like I failed you. And if you're right, and I get to help save your immortal soul by ridding my hometown of whatever this is, well, I can think of worse ways to meet my maker. So she puts a patch on the front of her vest that says Mama Bear. At the recycling place, Hub says that Midge said that he's the only one who can see the demons, so she has to stay in the car. And she says that it was his pride that got him sent down, his cardinal sin. And he says he told her it was mistakes, and then they're going to find a way out of it. She says that that's pride. And she's like, thinking you're smarter than him upstairs, who don't exactly have a reputation for making mistakes like that. It was pride that got between you and Marianne when you refused to compromise your music. And it was pride when you turned down that perfectly good studio job to come work for me. He's like, they wanted to pay me like an intern, Mom. And she's like, oh, and here you are with no career at all. Haven't touched a guitar in a decade. Living in my garage, basically. I guess you showed them. And like sarcastically, he's like, I have my principles. And she's like, please, your wife ran off with a man from Boston. Jiminy Christmas, boy. If that ain't a sign that you lost your way. I don't know what they have against Boston. It's if that ain't a sign that you've lost your way, well, I don't know what is. And he's like, are you done? And she's like, no, I was doing this job before you knew your butt from a hole in the ground. So the only fool here is you if you don't let me help. He like sighs. He's like, fine. How do you want to play it? So she mentions this one skip that they caught before. They drive closer. He turns on like the overhead lights on the truck, and then the flickering inside stops. Crows fly off, the bats screech, he goes in, and there's like a big trail of blood. Something crawls out of the ceiling, or it's crawling like on the ceiling. The blood makes a symbol on the floor, and there's like a body on the ceiling. So he starts floating up. The pastor demon comes out, eyes glowing. He shoves Hub against the wall, and then he hits it and he falls. In the truck, the radio turns on and starts like changing. She yells at Hub to watch the bear trap. And then she gets out and he yells at her to get back in. The pastor demon comes out, steps on the bear trap. Kitty yells at the Trank him now. Hub shoots Trank dart at his crotch, and Kitty holds up the cross and starts praying by the power of God and our Lord Jesus Christ. And the demon looks over her and roars. The lights like flicker. It gets out of the bear trap. Hub shoots, then gets knocked down. He's about to come up on Hub, the demon, and he gets shot again. Kitty like shot him with a shotgun. He's like knocked back, but he's not out yet. Hub gets up and shoves over like this huge metal cabinet, and it lands, smashes the demon's head. It's just like, so lights turn back to normal. The truck radio plays a song, and then the body catches on fire and starts to spread. Hub says that they're going to need a new bear trap, and Kitty says that she's got to find a new church, and she's asked if he's okay, and he's like no. But they drive off. But then some tater was somehow hiding outside waiting for them. So I guess he followed them and they didn't realize it. Kitty says that there's no denying it now. And she's like, so you gonna take this job with Mary Kay? And he's like, feels like I just did. So that's first mission done. That's the second episode. So, it basically looks like, and from what the preview does, it seems like a lot's going to happen from what the preview after the first episode. But it's almost like going to be like a demon of the week. So that's why I feel like you don't need to binge this. You just, I don't know. But that's the second episode. Will I cover the third? We'll see. Maybe. But I'm definitely, I want to watch the rest of the show. All right, now Black Mirror, Season 7. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, rather than doing episode 1 of Season 7, because it doesn't matter the order that you watch them, I don't think, because they're all self-contained. So I thought, since I may not get through all 6 episodes because of my hang-up about when all episodes drop at once and they're all available, do I want to do this for 6 weeks? It doesn't make sense to me. So I figured, well, the episode I'm most looking forward to, it may not be the best one. I think it was the highest rated one when I checked, was after the last episode, 706, USS Callister Into Infinity. So this is a sequel to the previous episode. Like I said, I think it was season 4. I could be totally wrong with that. You know which one I'm talking about. You can just look it up. So this one with Kristen Milioti. I'm a big Kristen Milioti fan, so I was like, yeah, I'm definitely going to watch this. And Jesse Plemons in this, and Jimmy Simpson is also in this, amongst like other people. So what happened in the previous episode, she went to work for Robert Daly with Jesse Plemons, and he decided to design this game, Infinity. It's like a space game. It's an immersive like VR game, and he was into this old show called Space Fleet. It was like kind of like original, like OG Star Trek. And there's at one point the coworker told Nanette not to be too nice to him because he gets a bit stary. Then at one point he takes the lid of her coffee cup, extracts her DNA, and he creates an identical digital clone of her to be part of the space crew. And then his digital version, he's cruel in the game. Like he tells the crew that they're disgraceful and disgusting. And then digital Nanette said that there's a wormhole. So there's this Christmas update patch that's like pre-installing itself. So if they fly into it, then they could be free. So I guess they lured Daly to this planet, a shuttle, so they can make their escape. And then they realize they're not in his computer anymore. They're in the cloud. So then Daly, he tries exiting game, but then on the USS Callister, they have an infinite procedurally generated universe at their disposal, and then Daly ends up dying in there. So now it goes back to, Nanette thinks back when she first came on board. She refused to listen to him because he removed her face, and so she couldn't breathe. And then she wakes up with a gasp, and she gets called to the bridge. So this is digital. This is Nanette clone, I guess I should say, is how they refer to her in the closed caption. So she's told that they have a target. So there's the snowy planet. There's these three dudes around the fire, and on some space planet, two are sitting. One has this vibro staff or something like that. One tries talking about the football game last night, and the others they're not listening to him, whatever. Then his staff guy's like, "Yo, when's your boy coming?" Because I just want to get this started. And dude's like, "Well, he said he'd join when he finished his lasagna." So it's wait, what's going on? But then it's because they're in the game, so this isn't real space, but it's it seems weird. They're like, wait, something's coming. So two people teleport in with armor and blasters. It's Nanette and Packer. So Nate Packer, he was the intern that would get the coffee. So they tell him to drop their weapons, and she's like, we don't want trouble, we just want your credits. And one guy's like, who are you? Why don't you have player tags? Because since they don't exist, when you see a player, it says their gamer name on there. So he's like, everyone has player tags. And then he pulls out two pistols, so they blast him, and he's gone. The other two protest. Nanette was like, we said credits now. So then one's like, it's hardly in the spirit of the game. And she's like, it's not a game for us. And he's like, wait, what do you mean by that? Then the guy with the staff, he flings this energy, throwing star or something like that. It hits her in the chest. And he throws one at Packard, but it hits Packard's gun. He pulls out a pistol, blasts him. He disintegrates. And Nanette pulls out the thing, whatever. The dude on the ground, he's like, you're bleeding. He's like, there's never any blood in this game. And she's like, give me your credits. So he hands him over, and he's like, I'm reporting this. And he's like, whatever you're doing, he's like, you'll get banned. And she's like, who are you reporting? No player tags. And she raises her blaster, and he's like, no. And he so some dude wakes up in his room, and he got kicked out of the game. So Nanette calls to be teleported back in, back up to the ship. Then they point to her you're hurt. And she's like, that's okay, they missed a nipple. She's like, it's fine. She's like, what's important is we got more money. She plugs in the credit stick, 34 credits. So she's like, not much. She's like, won't buy much fuel. We're almost out of ammo. So another says that they're monetizing the poop out of the game. Everything's cost double. The crew's arguing or anything like that. So Nanette yells at them, stops them. She's like, it's not what we wanted, but it'll keep us, going for a few more days. And so she says she's going to bandage herself up in a room. She's going to take a quick 5 while they plot out their next hit. So Packer goes after her, he's like, what's it this next time we'll do better? It's like this charm, whatever. It's like, we almost died. And she's like, yeah. And he's like, but, it's getting worse every day. We're outnumbered, we're outgunned. And he's like, is this the plan to go hunting down credits like rats? And she's like, if you think I don't get how bad things are, it's like, because I think they lost someone last week. She's like, it's 30 million players against the 5 of us. We are fudge. We're going to die. Is that what you want me to tell them? He's like, well, you shouldn't be giving them false hope. And she's like, I didn't ask for this job. She's like, if I could hit a button and go back to my old life, I would. In the real world, we see the real Nanette. She's in this crowded elevator. She gets off on a 13th floor, which I don't think buildings had 13th floor. So the elevator's like, welcome to Callister. So she's still working for Infinity. Her security badge doesn't let her pass the turnstile. And she sees a photo and a candle shrine for Robert Daly at the receptionist's desk. And the receptionist's like, it's your fault, is dead. And then it's like, she thinks she's talking about Robert. She's like, what? She's like, well, I didn't. And she's talking about her past. She's like, you did not renew. She's like, you have to renew each month. So Nanette's like, well, can I get a temporary one, please? And she gets her one. And then she's like, what's the photo and the candle? Reception says it's a memorial for Mr. Daly. Nanette's like, yeah, he's been dead for months. Why now? And she's like, Mr. Walton, Jimmy Simpson, she's like, Mr. Walton put it there this morning to impress journalists. And then it's like, from where? It's like the New York Times. He'll be here soon. So she goes to her workstation. There's others, from the game, from the crew are there. Kabir, who's in the game, he sees a message about someone being robbed by 2 players with no tags. So he gets up, goes into Mr. Walton's office, like the big glass office. So Jimmy Simpson, and he's rude. He's like, wait, that's weird. I didn't hear you knock. And he's like, I'm very busy right now, so can I please ignore you later? But Kabir says he's got to load more comments about those anonymous in-game robberies. Players are ticked off because they're getting shot and losing money. So whoever's doing it doesn't have player tags. And he's like, that's not possible. Walton's like, he's like, wait. He starts to carry. He's like, no player tags. That means no subscriptions. So they're not paying for it. Kabir says, he's like, the money's not important. It shouldn't be possible. So Walton is told that his guest is here. So he tells Kabir, he's like, okay, now just fudge away. Nanette glances over and the reporter dude arrives, and because she's worried about, she's going to get in trouble from when she was in Daly's apartment when he died. Walton asks if this is going in the tech section or the culture, because he's like, I vote culture, and the reporter's like, most likely news. So Nanette sees, she looks at the cameras in Walton's office. So on her computer, she hacks into him. She listens with her headphones and goes on her tablet and goes to a different sitting area. The reporter says that, he's like, well, I'll start with Robert Daly. He's like, I saw the trivia at reception. Walton's like, oh yeah. He's like, I can't bear to take that down. So Walton says that because they were so close, he wants to continue to build on his legacy, to continue to tribute, whatever. The reporter says I want to talk about Infinity. He's like, there's been talks of players unhappy about prices rising within the game. It seems like you're squeezing players for, money to inflate your stock. And Walton's like, well, look around. He's like, look at what we built. 35 million users and rising. And the reporter's like, give or take the odd bandit. And Walton's like, what? The what? And he's like, well, this morning I was on the Infinity forum reading a complaint from a player. So Walton says, yeah, I've been briefed about that. It's like, we're taking care of it. Reporter says that one was injured and she bled. He's like, famously, there's no blood in the game, right? So Walton's getting mad. He's like, you going to grill me about a fudging bug? He says, we'll circle back. He's like, I want to get back to Robert Daly. He's like, I want to show you something. So there's a video of Daly sitting back in his chair, like when he died in the game. He says, it's taken from the body cam from the first responder who found Mr. Daly's corpse. Walton says that, he's like, well, Bob and I were close. He's like, this is triggering me. He's like, I don't want to see that. And he's like, do you see that? There's this object on a desk, He's like, that's a DNA digital cloner. And Walton's like, that's a box. It could be anything. And the reporter's like, no, they're very distinctive. It's like, there's only a few left out there since the tech was banned globally on human rights, whatever, grounds of human rights. And Walton's like, I don't even know what this is for. And the reporter's like, okay, well, people use them to create sentient digital clones of real people, usually so they can abuse them, right? Like sick wish fulfillment stuff. And Walton's like, very sick and horrifying. Why are you? He's like, sure. So what I'm wondering is, what was Robert Daly, the man at the heart of Infinity, your co-founder and close personal friend, what was he doing with this outlaw tech, Mr. Walton? He's like, I have no idea what Bob Daly was doing in his personal life. And why are you? He's like, did Robert Daly copy illegal clones into your game? He's like, absolutely not. And the reporter's like, because if he did, and if that's who's bleeding in there, the whole company is implicated, including you, Mr. Walton. He's like, that's a ridiculous insinuation and a poopy lie. And if you print even a fudging word of this, me and my lawyers will fudge you into a barbed wire coffin. Do you hear me? He's like, yeah. He's like, great. He's like, lucky for me, I can't prove it. He's like, no, you can't. He's like, not yet. He's like, not fudging ever. He's like, hey, could you do me a favor and get the fudge out of my building now? He's like, it was lovely to meet you. It was my pleasure, Dick. And Nanette kind of gasps quietly. In the game, the Nanette clothes patching her jacket. She gets an alert for a new target. So it's like someone new, but that has a lot of credits. So they're going to teleport. And when they teleport down, her and Packer go, the crew puts on the Real Housewives of Atlanta on the view screen. That's what they watch. They hack into the real world to watch it while they're gone. So they go on this forest planet. In the real world, Walton goes out to talk to Kabir about the bandit problem, but he's not at his desk. The other guy's like, oh, he's probably at home. And he's like, what's he doing at home? He's like, he quit. So he put a post-it on the monitor saying, I quit. And then it goes in his office and he dismisses her. She's like, I can help with the problem. She's like, but I need to ID them, but I need unrestricted access. And he's like, well, permission granted. She's like, well, you didn't hear what I need access to. He's like, you have all the access you could ever need. She's like, I need access to Kabir's complaint log. He's like, how about less talking, more doing? You have all the access. So it continues from there. I don't want to go through the whole episode, but it's I mean, I really enjoyed it, and it gets like very ambitious because so the whole thing when they find this target, and then there's this whole like scene that the target is not as innocent as they would think. It's very skilled. There's like booby traps and stuff like that. So that turns into this whole big thing. And on the ship, there's this intern dude. He's bummed that he doesn't have anything to do, so he accidentally causes some problems for them. Oh, and at one point, when there's this, the booby trap, Packer like hits this thing. So there's like this explosion, and they go kind of flying, and Nanette, her helmet has kind of cracked, so like her eyes kind of like opened, because then later, Nanette, she like hacks into the user complaint and she sees like her, I guess, Pixie was the name of this other. She's like all in pink, has a pink guns and all this stuff. She was like filming everything, so, whatever, probably so she can stream it or whatever. And real Nanette sees Pixie like standing over the Nanette clone, and even though you can't see her full face, you can see her eye and hear her talk and everything like that. So then she realizes that she's been cloned into the game. So that gives her like more reason to want to go in there. Now on the ship, the intern dude, there was like a party invite or party something like that. So he thought it meant like a party, but it was like calling people in. So they start getting attacked and everything like that. And then it goes from there. So Nanette ends up going to Walton, says she's ID'd the two bandits and everything like that, and one's her. And so it's a whole thing about the clone stuff. And then she talks about how she was blackmailed and to go into his apartment. And he's like, because at first she's like, I was there when he died. And he's like, oh, you're sleeping together? She's like, no. So she's like, someone hacked into my photo cloud thing, and there's some intimate pictures of me, and they blackmailed her, told her to go there. And then she was supposed to go into this fridge where there's like all his DNA kit like stored, and there's like all these people in there. And there was like Walton was included there, and Walton's son. And so Daly was obviously, abusing all this and getting his revenge against them. Now that Walton's aware, then he wants to go in, but then the fact that they're clones, so it just escalates in that. So they're like, we need to get to the heart. See, now I feel like I'm just giving away the whole episode, but it turns into like this big space. I mean, there's like more like space scenes, fighting scenes, and just it's crazy. It's like an actual movie, for an episode of a show, 90-minute episode, and it kind of goes from there. And there's one point in the real world, like Nanette, she's just wants to leave the office, and Walton's like, Jimmy Simpson's like begging her. He's like, you need to help me fix this, and she's like, no, I just quit. He's like, I'll give you, 100K. He's like, 200K, and all this stuff like that. And it's like something happens to her, and it's just like, oh my gosh, it just goes from there. And then when they have to go into the heart of the game, and then when they see like what's in there, it's crazy. So it was a good episode. I mean, I feel like it's not quite your typical Black Mirror episode, but it's a great episode because it's a continuation of the other episode was so good. I mean, at the heart of what is these Black Mirrors? It's all about technology and like the abuse of them and how things can go wrong or whatever. And that's basically what you have here. The technology aspect is a game and immersing yourself, and then we got the cloning aspect and stuff like that, and just so. If you've seen the first episode, you absolutely must watch this one. And if you haven't, definitely go back and watch these. I mean, these episodes they're just so enjoyable. I mean, this is probably like one of my favorite like Netflix series, just because you never know, and just the ideas they come up with. And while not all episodes are fabulous, are all at the same level, there's usually they do a good job in being creative and just coming up with something different. And one episode from the next, totally different vibe, and it's just that's what's nice about it is you don't know what to expect. Like so, I'm gonna go back. Will I cover more again? Maybe. We'll see if I have time, because I'm with the other stuff starting up. We'll see. But I'm definitely I'm a fan of the show, and I hope it. I don't know if this. I hope there's more coming. I would love for this to keep going, and even if it takes a while between seasons, I'm fine with that. Just do it right and do it well. But because I saw some people say like, yeah, for the final episode, was this one. It almost sounded like this. You're saying this is the final episode of the series, but maybe you just meant the final episode of the season. I hope. Yeah. So hopefully we'll get more. If you have watched this season already and you want to hear about one of the other ones, let me know, because otherwise I'll probably just go to like episode like 701, or like, is the third episode, should I go to that one first or whatever? Because I'm probably just gonna maybe go to 701 next. All right, and now the movie feature is Drop. So this is directed by Christopher Landon. It was produced by Michael Bay and Jason Blum and some other people. And the interesting thing I saw, I don't know if how true this is, but I think it was like an Instagram post I saw, I forget if it was Entertainment Weekly or just some other random thing, that a couple of producers got the idea for this a few years ago because they were in Italy. I don't know if they were at a festival or something like that. And one of the producer's girlfriend was getting random like memes like dropped on her phone or something like that. I think they were like Shrek memes or something like that. I don't remember if they're obscene or what. And this kind of gave them the idea. So while that was annoying, they ended up coming up with the idea for a movie. So thanks, mystery annoying person. You made these guys some money, I hope. The movie itself, it has a $11 million budget. It's projected to make $6 to $8 million opening weekend. And like I said, I don't know if I said it, but I did enjoy it. I was impressed with this. The other option was The Amateur. So The Amateur is Rami Malek, is produced. Oh, Lawrence Fishburne's also in that. Rachel Bronson, John Bernthal. I didn't realize he was in that. That was directed by James Hawes. So I will see that at some point, but not for this, not this episode. I like to compare to see, was I right? Did I make the right choice? The Amateur has a 61% Rotten Tomato, 90% audience. So audience seemed to enjoy it. That's good. So 6190. So 61 critics. Drop has an 82% critics. Again, 90% for the amateur audience, 78% for Drop. So I feel like I made the right choice, but that's just based off of what I've seen. And on Rotten Tomato, it's the critic consensus, a Hitchcockian thriller that cleverly utilizes modern technology for its twists and turns. Drop delivers on its pulpy premise while providing a welcome showcase for leading lady Meghann Fahy. Yeah, so I mean, I feel like everything you need to know is in the trailer. Actually, there's a little more. So this woman, she has a son, and obviously she's a single mom. You do find out like what the deal is throughout the movie. So she had been like on an online thing, and she's been talking to this guy, and she's about to go into state, but she's hesitant. Her sister forces her to go. It's like, you got to go and everything. So she goes. She meets this guy. You see this all in the trailer, and then but with the movie, it's fleshed out a little more. She arrives there, she gets there early, and stuff like that. She goes to the restaurant, she goes to the bar, and what's interesting about this. So okay, the premise is she's finally just jump forward a little bit. She's at her table, she's with her date, they're talking, and then she gets this weird drop. Someone did an airdrop on her phone, and it's a meme, and it's like, she's like, well, this is weird, and then they continue. The sort of big question is like, who's doing this? And the dude, he knows a little bit of some stuff. He's like, well, it's got to be someone in it's like within a 50 foot radius or something like that. So they're trying to figure out, it's got to be someone in a restaurant. And that's where the big whodunit part comes in, where if it's someone in a restaurant, and obviously we don't see every single person there, but they show enough of them, and some people are kind of suspicious. So, but then the question is like, okay, is it too obvious? Like, oh, it could be this person. This person had this opportunity, or this person kind of looked this way, or this one person kind of had this look on their face. So you start to wonder, is like, could it be this one, and you have to wonder, is like, are they making it obvious? Are they making it too obvious? Is that supposed to be misleading, or could that be the clue, so you can figure out that, yeah, that it must be that person. So then later you're like, yeah, that makes sense. That's why they did that here, and so forth. Oh, and so what's the kicker? It's like, oh yeah, dropping, memes on her phone. What's the big deal? The big deal is they hacked into her. They want her to kill her date, and she's like, you're crazy. They hacked into her home security, the cameras, so she, and she checks it out. And there's other stuff like how they're doing this, because she ends up downloading this other app because they're like forcing her, and she sees on her home, she swipes through the different cameras, and there's a dude with a mask and a gun, and her son and her sister are there. So she has to do what but she doesn't want to do it. And there's like all this stuff, and there it goes deeper than that. There's like other things she tries doing. There's other aspects. There's another layer, like how they're able to do this, because they're like, if you tell your date, then your son is dead, and so there's like other, how can they know? There's ways they can know, and again, where's the person at? And there's like all this other stuff. So it's more clever than it may seem, because when I saw the trailer, I was like, this is a little silly. Like, okay, but I'm curious, how are you going to make a whole movie out of this? There are other aspects, other things built into this that helps it. It is absolutely still far-fetched, but there are other things to it. Now, the phones work a little differently, because as far as I know, like with the drops, you have the option where anyone can drop something, or only people in your contacts can drop stuff. So like, or it's a matter of like, if you don't even have your Bluetooth, like what if she never had her Bluetooth on? She would never show up. But I think there's this other thing, because her date shows her like, oh, see, this is you, these are other people. And it was like, I don't know if there's like some app, I don't know, but it, just don't worry about that stuff. There's a reason for certain things, and it was interesting. It's like, what is she going to do? Her hands are tied, and it's her son's life is on the line. So I thought they did a good job with the movie, and one part, like towards the end, it almost feels like it speeds up, and the movie's like an hour and 40 minutes. And one part, it kind of speeds up a little bit, but then it escalates, and some stuff is like, this one part, what she does, it seems kind of silly, but I mean, it's a movie, and I think they did a decent job with it. It is entertaining, and just like I said, the whole mystery aspect, 'cause it's like, who could it be and why? And even so, it's like, why would they want her date dead? Because he's like, not like he's a secret agent or anything like that. He's a photographer, so it's like, if that matters, so he's just a normal guy, and he's a super nice guy. And you look at this, it's like, so she had it rough since not being with her husband or whatever, because again, things happen. There's elements to the story. And this guy is like so nice. He seems like this could be like her dude, or whatever. So it's a silly movie, but it is super suspenseful, and I enjoyed it, and I definitely recommend it. And I'm glad I saw this. Not knocking the other movie, but I think, I think they did a really good job with such a simple and basic, silly premise. They make this movie work. So definitely it's worth checking out. Does it need to be seen on a big screen? I mean, I would say yeah. Actually, well, no. Does it need to be? No. But it does make it more enjoyable, I think. So you should definitely see Drop. And on that note, that is going to be the podcast for the week. Big thanks to Andrew Loken. He is a big supporter of the show. I apologize for my neighbors like mowing the lawn, and it's just like, oh my gosh. You can be a supporter by going to patreon.com/gmanfromheck. Any amount you can commit to will be awesome. If you commit at the Rick Jones tier or higher, you get access. Let's just get this done because it's going to get loud again. You get access to the secret podcast from Heck, which is an additional 30 minutes of podcast entertainment every single week. Currently looking at John Byrne's Fantastic Four from the 80s. I might do a movie, might do an Off My Mind, you never know, but it's extra content. But if you can't commit to a monthly commitment, you can also help out by going to coffee.com/gmanfromheck, and you can buy me a virtual cup of coffee or two. That's ko-fi.com. slash G-Man from Heck. That doesn't sound right. You know what it is. All right, what's going to happen next week? Next week, the last episode of Daredevil, maybe more Bondsman, maybe more Black Mirror. Definitely The Last of Us, and most likely probably Doctor Who. So with Doctor Who and The Last of Us, that may bump the Bondsman out, and I'm not sure about Black Mirror. We'll see about that. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'll just do less in depth. You know, I'm trying to scale it back in case. I don't know if you need full on in-depth recaps of these shows. So maybe just need like, this is what happened. This was good. This was cool. This was not so cool. So we'll see about that. But that's going to be next week. So, did I say the movie? Next week's movie is Sinners. So that's Michael B. Jordan, Haley Steinfeld. Ryan Coogler directed. I really don't know what this movie is about. Is it about vampires? I don't know. I've seen the trailer, and I'm still not quite clear what this is about. So I think, yeah, we'll give me something to talk about. Right, as of now, it's at 100% Rotten Tomato based off like 20 reviews, so not a lot of reviews, just I guess early reviews. Who are these early people that got to review it? Hopefully it stays consistent like that, because 100%, that's impressive. So we'll see. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope the lawn mowing wasn't too annoying. It's like super annoying for me. I hope you are doing well. I need to just end this. I hope you're taking care of yourself. I hope you're doing fun things. I hope your lawn is mowed, or you have someone to mow it, or you don't have to worry about it. I hope you remember, be good to each other.